What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com here with the man and the champ, Becky Lynch. How you doing?
I'm good. You're Sean.
Yeah.
You always. I see your name on the Twitter.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. There was a tweet that I put out. There was a friend who taught a little girl, made a little website about you, and you were deep into character on social media at that time, and always kind of are. Is it tough to balance that, knowing that you inspire a lot of people, you inspire a lot of young girls, and sometimes you got to kind of walk that line on social media?
Yeah. So the way that I look at it is I will fight my enemies, but I'm there for my supporters, right? So if I can inspire a little girl, or anybody at all for that matter, and anybody who's supported me along the journey, then I appreciate it. But if you come at me, just expect to get your head chewed off.
Have there been a lot of hurt feelings among coworkers backstage? Because I noticed your bio, nothing but work gets done here.
Nothing but work gets done here. I'm sure. But look, if anybody realizes what I'm doing, I think they would send me a bouquet of flowers, because I'm trying to get people interested. I'm trying to get people to care more than they've cared about women's wrestling in decades or ever. And that's what I'm doing. And if I have to step outside the lines every now and again to get that done, if people can understand that, then that's great. Then let's all make more money. Then let's all be the main event of WrestleMania. Or we can go back to sitting in the back, brushing each other's hair, supporting each other, talking about how great we are, and oh, look, isn't this wonderful? We're in the fight business. This is the conflict business. It's all about conflict. We're selling conflict. People need to understand that. And I'm going to be standing out there ready to fight anybody at any time.
So do you have anybody that comes up to you like, hey, maybe you can help me out a little bit? I'm not as adept at this as you are. Like, I mean, it doesn't look like you pick fights on social media, but it does look like you end them.
Oh, well, so sometimes I do, and then I realize, like, oh, look, if you're going to make this much of a drama of it, I'm not going to give you attention. I'm not going to let you step to the man. I'm not going to let you want to be a main eventer. If you can't handle it, if you can't hack it, get your freaking jacket. Because that's the thing. Like, if you can't handle it, I'm trying to pick fights here and there, and then people just can't handle it. And then I'm like, okay, all right, on to the next. Who else wants to make money with me? Who else wants to make money with the champ?
You spent a little time at SBG in Ireland.
Sure did.
Upon a trip back. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. Absolutely incredible. John Kavanagh is a complete legend. I like to spend as much time there as I can when I get over to Ireland. I feel like it really helps sharpen my skills, gives me a little bit of an edge.
When Ronda Rousey said, your armbar doesn't work, and I mean, it does.
I think we saw in an MMA fight a few weeks later, somebody won with my move.
She won a fight with a modified version of that armbar against Kat Zingano. I mean, it was switched up a little bit. But you look at Ronda's and how it was when it originally came in, it kind of looked like that was a little bit off. Did you take exception to that when she said that, or was that just a cost of doing business?
Look, it's cost of doing business. Whatever anybody wants to say about me, that's fine. I just want to make money. I want to be the best of all time. That's fine. At the end of the day, I beat her and she left the company. And we haven't seen her since. So who's doing better?
Do you think we will see her again?
I don't know. I don't know if we will. I'll be here holding the company up if she ever wants to come back. We still have a one-on-one match to have. I'll be holding this championship until somebody pries it out of my cold, dead hands. So if she ever wants to come at me, Ronnie, I'm here waiting, you little weirdo.
As we wrap up, you spent quite a while away from wrestling. How much did you follow wrestling during that period?
I will say, honestly, it was quite hard for me to watch wrestling during that period. So I had stepped away. I couldn't do it anymore. I went through some issues. And like I was seeing people like that I had come up through the business with, like Tyson Kidd, like Sheamus, like Natalia, all make it. And I felt like I should be there. I know I should be there, but I'm not, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get there. And it was just very hard for me to watch.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com here with Barbie Hayden. We're at the Title Match Wrestling booth.
Yeah, it's on the shirt.
Yeah. They got shirts, a little bit of everything. Their YouTube channel's one of my favorites. They have a great network. they put on a ladies' night out, shows that you are a big part of. What has that meant for your career? It's really highlighted women in such a fantastic way.
So not only is it highlighting women wrestling in the ring, what I really like about it is that I have now become an interviewer from it. I have now become a commentator from it, and that has actually trickled over to TV because I also wrestle for WOW Women of Wrestling as Abilene Maverick, so I play a character on Access TV. And what's really cool is because of Title Match Network doing the Ladies Night Out, I now have done commentary on WOW on TV. So it's like, it's cool because it's opening doors, and I don't know if you've noticed, but most of the women that actually... Do we fight now? Do we fight?
Oh, shit.
There's a bell. We got to fight. But no, it's really cool because it's like opened so many doors. As you can see, like a lot of these women, they wrestle on TV. You know, I'm not saying it's like a direct correlation, but I mean, it might be.
So for your career, being able to do all those different things, being able to interview, being able to announce, being able to wrestle, do you think that's going to open up more doors in the future? Because obviously it has with WOW.
Yeah, I would think so. I've actually been in talks with a few of, like, other companies outside of wrestling, which is, I know, crazy, right? Usually once you're in the wrestling world, you never leave it. But I'm trying to kind of, like, intertwine the worlds because the thing is like I wasn't a wrestling fan growing up. I actually was not allowed to watch it because I grew up during the Attitude Era. So you get it. Yeah. So, but you know, of course, like when you're older and you really like get to appreciate it and watch it as an adult and make your own judgment calls, like it's fantastic. But the thing is you know this. The outside world, outside of the wrestling world, is fantastic and huge, and I really want us to start like trickling over into it, that mainstream audience. So that's where I'm hoping things like Ladies Night Out can start like trickling over into, you know?
So yeah, you've been a part of some more wrestling-centric shows and some shows that are laced with so much entertainment like WOW. You were part of a WWE tryout a few years ago. What type of feedback did you get from that tryout?
So I actually feel like I got really positive feedback because I ended up having, I think, 3 tryouts total there at the, at, what do you call it now, the PC?
Performance Center,
yeah. You call it, So over the Performance Center, I went there when they first opened up, and I think they were actually just calling it NXT. That one went okay. They gave me some feedback on what to work on. Worked on it. They brought me back. And then they brought me back another time for the first women's pay-per-view that they did.
Evolution or the Mae Young Classic?
The Mae Young Classic, yeah. So for the Mae Young Classic, I ended up being pushed to alternate, unfortunately, because they brought a lot of NXT girls onto it, which they weren't planning to do at first. Yeah. So me, Rachel Ellering, and Deonna Purrazzo, we were all pushed as alternates. Last second, Rachel got pushed up onto it. So, you know, that's wrestling, though. You never know what's going to happen 1 minute to the next. But obviously I did good enough in that tryout that they wanted me to be there for that. But since then, I haven't really been in talks with them because I've been so focused on WOW. I've been so focused with Title Match Network, you know, because now I'm pretty much transitioning over to that and Flag Sports as one of their interviewers. So that's kind of where I'm letting my ball roll to. So
that they have announced the second season of WOW. That's coming. You've got people who have been involved in wrestling for decades involved.
We have to fight again.
Let's lock up. There we go.
Oh, I caught your hair.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
See, I'm a rookie in this hair game. I'm not used to it yet. I just got long hair for the first time.
No, you're good. You're looking like a Jesus, like a rockstar Jesus.
I'm trying. So, WOW Season 2, it's coming. Did you find out ahead of time, and what was your reaction?
We actually did know a little bit ahead of time, but still, like, I cried. Like, I literally, when they told me the news, really when they told me that it was going on Access TV, I cried, just because I've been with that company for 5, maybe 6 years now, so we've been really pushing for that for a very long time. So now that we finally have that, you know, you get that platform to show all women's wrestling, it's crazy. You know, because, like, it really, you know, in wrestling, it's always been tiers, you know, of like, okay, you can see it here, here, whatever. And for women's wrestling, it's always just been here. Like, you didn't really have a platform like Title Match. You didn't have a platform like WOW, you know, to watch all women's wrestling. So I think it's cool because it's just evolving constantly.
You mentioned Title Match. I think they're integral to women's wrestling. I mean, you see Ivelisse there, Kiera Hogan there, Thunder Rosa over there. There's like so many great names that have this platform to put on matches that maybe couldn't happen. Maybe they were in different companies or whatever it may be. What is something that you've learned about Title Match Wrestling that, as far as like helping out women's wrestling that most people might not know?
I think you really just nailed it right there because it is a melting pot. Like a lot of these women, like a lot of women that are working on Impact or working on WOW or they're just indie wrestlers, we typically don't cross paths. And a lot of them, too, work just at Booker T's, you know, school there. And so we're all getting to cross paths at different levels. Like, I have worked some girls who are brand new, and I've worked some girls who are, you know, veterans to me. So I think that's the good thing. It's just a big melting pot, you know?
Barbie, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. Much appreciated. Sean Ross at Fightful.com here with the bad boy, Joey Janela.
That's me. Look at Marco Stunt over here.
Marco Stunt. Marco Stunt in the shot. How's it going?
Hey, that's going good.
I guess that's what the bad boy does.
That's what I do.
Brings in cameos, brings in viewers.
Brings in money.
You just officially announced next year's spring break, which you kind of told me a few months ago. You're like, yeah, we booked the venue. It's already happening.
It's happening. We signed a deal. Ain't no one stopping us. The Titan ain't getting us this time.
What are you looking to do at that spring break outside of breaking 400 doors?
Probably more than 400 doors. Probably 500. The budget is much higher. We have 4,000 seats to sell out. We'll probably do it pretty fast this year. I'm pretty confident in that ability to draw money.
You go into next year's knowing that you'll go head-to-head with SmackDown as they announce that. I saw where you even mentioned that. There's not going to be a lot of moving dates around or anything like that, but you are moving to one night. Why the decision to do that?
Yeah, because 2 nights was a last-minute sporadic thing. This year we're going against SmackDown. I really don't care. I know we're going to sell out the bitch anyway. No one cares about SmackDown.
Well, people do care about AEW. Not to date this too much. I mean, I think people know that we're at StarCast, but you told me that your deal with AEW starts officially May 1st. You're with them for several years. How does that affect your schedule? Because you're a guy that was wrestling all the time, and now your schedule's a little bit more clear, I would assume?
Yeah, starting in October, I'm clearing all indie dates. It's just going to be strictly AEW besides spring break, of course. Maybe I'll try to weasel myself onto a little bit more GCW shows, but who knows? They got a big TV deal. You know, once TV comes in, it's everything I ever dreamed of. So why would I want to do anything else? And the schedule is lighter than it usually is. Then, fucking man, there's more time for me to party.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, from a mental standpoint, the hustling that always goes on with the type of schedule that you have, and it probably went from hustling to people just booking you out and you having to be like, man, I can't make that date, I'm booked out. But now you've got, like, a place to call home. What does that mean to you as somebody who's performed for so long?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I've been wrestling for 14 years now, and I never thought it would get, sometimes I always had doubts in myself that I would make it this far. But in the last couple of years, things have really picked up. It's been crazy. I had a line out the fucking door today, me and Penelope. So, it's everything I ever dreamed of, and I'm all in on AEW 100%, and I believe in what their vision is, and the creative freedom they're going to give me was definitely the option over the WWE, and I definitely wanted my own creative freedom and to express myself the way I've been doing for years on the independents, and I think the Bucks, Cody, and Omega, and all those guys are going to let me do that.
Last question, did you steal Stokely Hathaway's CD player?
I did not steal a CD player. I've heard rumors on who did steal the CD player, and he may or may not be Leo Rush. That's why there's so much heat on him.
Wow.
In the company right now is because he stole Stokely's CD.
Is that why he's home for 90 days?
That's the rumor, that he actually, it's nothing to do with carrying the water coolers to the hotel. It's actually everything to do with stealing Stokely Hathaway's CD player.
Joey Janela, breaking news here. Joey, I want to thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, dude.
We'll do it this way. Why not?
Let's do this. We'll do this pose. Like this.
Sean Ross at Fightful.com. Here with Killer Cross. Killer Cross, I interviewed Phil Baroni a couple months ago.
Okay.
Phil Baroni, who was trying to call you out for Bloodsport.
Okay.
And he talked about your dad.
Right.
What are your feelings about one Phil Baroni?
I love Phil. He's a character. He's out of his mind, which is why we get along. If it was booked for me and Phil to be squaring off in Bloodsport, we would have did it. It wasn't. And he did great anyways, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. How did you like your Bloodsport experience? I mean, I know that you've got that very diverse background as far as your wrestling style.
Yep.
I mean, I know that you seems like you're a fan of Catch as Catch Can wrestling, at least by the looks of it. Yep. So how was that for you?
It was awesome. Working Bloodsport was a dream come true because I was always a big fan of UWFI growing up. And that sort of platform doesn't exist anymore. So the fact that they put that together and I was able to be a part of it and contribute something special and unique to the pro wrestling industry within that rule context, that's a great privilege. I had a blast working with Harry, and you couldn't get somebody, more legit directly from the professional wrestling scene than Harry. So, people said they enjoyed what they watched and paid for, and that's the end game. They enjoyed it. I loved it. And I would love to do it again. As
far as like MMA-based training goes, catch-as-catch-can wrestling training goes, how much do you put into that? Like, or do you work with any notable people? I know there's a ton of wrestlers who like work with Josh Rafferty and people like that, or are you just hitting up gyms saying, let me get in what I can get in?
Well, I had originally moved to Las Vegas to fight pro about 7 years ago. And I got into the pro camps, and to be quite frank with you, like, I actually just I hated it. I hated it. Like, everyone, if you're a man, you most likely at some point in your life, you've wanted to punch someone in the face. So, like, it's glorified, the competition setting on television, mixed martial arts and whatnot. Everyone wants to punch somebody in the face on TV, but the reality of it is when you get into a pro camp, it's 7 days a week, you're up at 5 a.m., you're doing your road work, you come home, you shower, you have breakfast, and then you go and you practice for 10 hours for the rest of the day. If you don't do that, you're going to get your teeth blasted out of your fucking mouth on TV. So I didn't love it enough to pursue it as a profession. I love it recreationally and doing it, but I had a great time training when I moved out here. Even prior to that, when I was in Canada, Mauricio Veo from the old Chute Box Guard, him and his brother Dita moved up to Toronto, so I was training under them for a while. And then when I came out to Vegas, I was training at One Fight Team under Leandro and Michael Costa. Mike Jones. I mean, there was great people there. Who was coming through? Jerome Le Banel was there for a while. Verdum was there. Machida was there. It was really cool. Like, I got to work with a lot of really interesting people. So to take elements of that from a previous life, and then bring it into that setting, we're playing striker versus grappler, as you can tell. It was awesome. Like, it's great.
As we wrap up, you've worked Lucha Underground, you've worked Bloodsport, you've worked Impact. How do you kind of switch up your in-ring styles, or do you? You just I take the same mentality into all of it? Or, I mean, with Bloodsport, you kind of have to because there are certain rule limitations, no ropes. But what do you look at to differentiate yourself, or are you more about solidifying just what you have?
It's a combination of things. I'll never take the same approach ever. I'll look at who's on the card for the night. I'll think about the overall narrative. And then I'll think about how to make what I'm doing different that night versus everything else on the card. So there are variances in what people are watching on television. And I've only been doing this for 5 years, so the fan in me is still very much alive. And I remember what I wanted to see as a fan. And I think that if you live in like this egocentric place where I'm the pro wrestler and the fans don't know, you're going to wind up being one of those guys that people can't stand on television, and you don't have, real heat, you have go-away heat. So I think it's important to remember what people want to see, and I think from time to time, you give it to them.
Thank you so much.
I don't shake hands. I'm not your friend. I'm a bad guy.
Hey. Nobody wants to get the StarCast flu. Fightful.com. Thank you. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com. Here with Alexa Bliss. We were talking off the air the last time I talked to you. NXT Columbus Arnold Sports Festival.
Yes.
Things are a little bit different now.
A little bit.
How is adjusting to that? I mean, you were in NXT. I mean, and not to say you had a bad run there, but you didn't accomplish 3 championships.
Yeah, I mean, NXT was a great time. That's where I developed everything. I came into the FCW at the time in Tampa not knowing anything. I didn't have any speaking experience, no wrestling experience, and luckily Triple H saw something in me at my tryout, decided to sign me to NXT, and NXT was definitely where I was learning my craft and developing it for when I got on the main roster.
How has adjusting to life been? Because it's been really quick. All of this has come to you. SmackDown, Raw, Tag Team Championships.
It's been a roller coaster ride, but I love it. We wouldn't do any of this if we didn't love it. Our schedule, our travel, everything is so crazy, but I enjoy doing it, and I love performing and connecting with fans, and it's incredible.
You had a pretty well documented injury last year, and that was all featured on a WWE documentary. What did you do in your downtime outside of kind of getting ready?
I bought a house, and I decorated a house, and I did life things. You know what I mean? Like, you don't realize the stuff that you take for granted, like picking out decorations for a house, because you just don't have time to do it. I got to spend time with my animals, which was nice, my family, and it was a nice refresher. Like, I needed that even though it was unfortunate how I got the breather, I needed the breather, and I felt like I was ready to come back and re-inspired.
You were pretty candid about not knowing if you'd be able to come back.
Yeah.
What would you have done?
I don't know. If I wouldn't have been able to come back, WWE's been incredible in helping me with all my injuries and everything. They sought out the best medical team for me, and they were incredible by giving me Moment of Bliss. So maybe more of that route, maybe general manager. I don't know, but I'm very fortunate to be back in the ring and happy with where I am now.
I think that's what a lot of people expected, was Alexa Bliss as GM. How do you think you would have fit in that role?
Well, I like to boss people around, so I think it would have been okay.
So you've got this team with Nikki Cross. How has adjusting from singles action to tag team action been?
It's quite an adjustment. We're still getting there. It was very...
Getting there?
Well, you know what I mean. We're still figuring it out. Because we both have such different styles.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Because you have to have, like, tag moves and that chemistry. And so we're still working on that because our last 2 months we've just been costing each other matches by accident. So we're adjusting to it. But, our tag division is incredible. I didn't expect, that hard of a fight. And those women are incredible and some of the most talented women we have on the roster.
I think a lot of people expected long ago for Alexa Bliss to maybe go a different route with Nikki Cross, maybe use her, but it seems like her intentions are pure.
Yes.
Seems like everything's on the up and up. I mean, Nikki Cross was pretty open on the show. She was like, I didn't think anybody noticed me. I wasn't even on the show. But now she's tag team champions with you.
I mean, that's what happens. When you develop a friendship with someone, we agreed that we weren't going to judge each other on each other's past. Her past in NXT, my past with Nia and Mickey, and we understand each other and we see a lot of each other in each other, and I think that's what developed our friendship and the bond.
Alexa, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're out.
Hey guys, Sean Ross Sapp here, Fightful.com. I am back in Kentucky. It's been a few days. I'm putting together all these interviews from Las Vegas, and I get to the MJF interview. And when I tell you that was an experience, boy, was that an experience. He was in high media demand last week, so I interviewed him early on in the Vegas experience. And from the jump, it was off. He was very nice when I reached out to him. He was like, yeah, man, come over to the MGM, man. We'll do an interview, man. A lot of that. A lot of like really encouraging, happy, excited reaction from MJF, who would go on to be the star of Double or Nothing. So I get there. And still a pretty nice guy. We start filming, and something's off, which I would later find out the man disabled my microphone. Like, I don't know if he disconnected it or if he pulled the battery pack out, or for all I know, he maybe submerged it in water because I had to get a new recorder. But it didn't work. And when you're filming in the MGM lobby, that's important. You get all the sound that's around you. So I only have camera sound of that. That will not make air. But we didn't end up staying there anyway. And the reason is that a security guard came up and said, hey, you all can't film here without a rep. MJF, as best I can say, cut a promo on the security guy. May have gotten him fired. But then MJF graciously offered to let me come up to his hotel room to interview him. Okay, that's cool. Only we didn't go to his hotel room. We went to like 3 different towers and 3 different floors, and it took us a legit 35 minutes with me lugging around camera equipment to get there. And my mic was still unhooked. So I have camera audio, fortunately. I'm not going to let MJF being MJF ruin a good interview. So without further ado, guys, I hope you all enjoy.
Sir, is there a problem? Guys, you can't film without a representative from our PR people. We can't film here. We can't film here? We have to have someone. Okay. Even if I'm going to be a part of the... Okay. All right. Well, we're going to have a chat off camera. We'll start this up again in a couple minutes.
So we got kicked out of the MGM lobby. weren't supposed to film there. And what you didn't see was MJF berate a security guard. And then, in a rare act of kindness, he said, okay, fine, whatever. We're going to do this in my hotel room. And then we went the wrong way like 4 times. And along the way, he made sure to stop when he spotted an AEW fan that was eating, just to stare them down. At first they didn't notice him, but he made sure that they noticed him. I don't know what to make of that, but oh, he's back.
About that security guard, huh? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you handled that pretty professionally.
I'd like to think so. I was pretty nice about the whole entire thing. He's a good guy, you know. He was meaning well. You might be fired. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, interview. Let's go. Let's do it up.
I mentioned your schedule. You've been working 125 days a year, or dates a year. That doesn't include travel days, all that stuff.
Sure.
How does adding AEW to your schedule impact things for you?
So I'm happy. You know, on any given Sunday, I can get a text from my best friend, Cody Rhodes, the roller coaster. And he can go, you know, MJF, come on down over to the spot. We'll shoot some stuff. We'll have some fun. Drink some brew. Have some American Rebel cigars. AmericanRebelCigars.com. Check it out. And it's just always a blast, man. It does fit. It all fits my schedule. And then I can also hang out with my other BFF, TK. You might know him as Tony Khan. And, yeah, you know, what I would love to say about this business venture is I feel like I've made friendships for life, man. You know? And you can't... I don't care how busy you are. That's important. That's important stuff.
Would you call Dustin Rhodes a friend because it seemed like you tried to commit murder?
Okay, so that's fake news, and I don't appreciate fake news. Granted, that's all you really do, isn't it, Sean? First of all, no, I did not try to kill Dustin. As you guys all know, I am a big fan of Zelda, okay? And I just got lost on my way to the Zelda competition, which, by the way, I won handedly. Won the competition. That Master Sword, you're welcome, world.
Will you tweet out a picture of the trophy, or I don't know, championship belt, or ribbon, blue ribbon? What did you win?
It was a trophy.
Ah.
Yeah. It's big. It's real big.
What does it have on it?
It's got the Zelda logo, which everybody knows. The big Zelda logo. You know what it looks like. Yeah. And then some elf stuff. It's good stuff. It's a big trophy. I'll show you it later. I'll send you a photo later.
We mentioned balancing the MLW contract. What went through your mind when you get an AEW offer, knowing that you are with MLW? Is it something that went through your mind, like, can I do this? Will I be allowed to do this?
So, luckily, with my MLW contract, there are zero restrictions for me to work at All Elite Wrestling. I was very ecstatic about that, mainly because I truly do feel that AEW is about to change and revolutionize the business, as am I. Duh. But no, I was very excited. So I was able to take the contract legally, completely. There wasn't an issue. There was no binding issues with the contract.
Did you get any feedback from Court Bauer on this? Does he say anything to you, or is it just like a, hey, congrats?
Well, Court Bauer knows where his bread is buttered, and that's with MJF. Court Bauer understands that the most important person on his roster is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, because nobody is like Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Nobody can carry a show with a microphone in his hand, and nobody can perform like I can with, you know, 2 beautiful black leather boots and this bodacious Burberry scarf. There is no one on this planet that can say no to me, because if you say no to me, you lose the opportunity to work with me. And if you lose the opportunity to work with me, you lose your whole fan base.
You mentioned the opportunity to work with you. I don't think it's a secret. There were other companies interested in you. What made you go with MLW and All Elite Wrestling?
I felt like it was the best bet for me. What I love about All Elite Wrestling is it's a, you know, some might consider us a bit of an outlaw promotion. Some might consider that we do things our own little way. And if anybody's like that, it's me. I've never been one to go on the same beaten path as anybody else. I've never played the same tune as anybody else. I've always beaten to my own drum. It's a very expensive drum, but I've always beaten to my own drum. And yeah, it just, to me, it fit who I am, the mold of who I am as a human being.
So I mentioned the MLW balancing, the AEW. I also mentioned 125 dates a year. That's not just MLW and AEW, you're working all over the country, all over the world, and for a ton of different promotions. Is that something that you look to continue doing throughout 2019, 2020, or are you looking to make AEW and MLW a more permanent home?
So here's the thing. My job was to get to the position I'm in today as fast as humanly possible. And I attained it. But the way I obtained it was through hard work. A lot of people want to go, oh, MJF, he's a loudmouth, he's cocky, he's arrogant. Of course I'm cocky. Of course I'm arrogant. Who was the last person to achieve what I've achieved in the past 3.5 years? Can you name one? No, you can't. And if there was anybody in my age range that even came close to achieving what I'm achieving, they've slipped up. They've messed up. They've done something stupid. I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to slip up. I'm not going to mess up. There is not going to be a part of MJF's career where everybody goes, here's where he went wrong. Here's where he should turn right when he turned left. That's not going to happen because I have a roadmap for this business. What I did was I studied the greats, and I went to myself, okay, I need to work for the top promotions in the US, in Canada, in Mexico, in the UK. I have been literally at every single top tier promotion in the world, and now I find myself at the pinnacle. So yes, I do think it was very important for me to have worked all of those independent promotions that I worked, because if it was not for me working those independent promotions I worked, I would not have the seasoning, and I would not be able to look into this camera and tell you that it's talent over tenure. Am I still going to be working the independent promotions while I am wrestling at Major League Wrestling and All Elite Wrestling? I have taken my last new independent professional wrestling dates, and I will no longer be taking any new dates to answer that question, because I proved my point. I used everybody as an easy stepping stone, and I did not slip at any single point while I was jogging along the side of the ocean that was the pro wrestling industry.
So, I mean, with you not taking any additional independent dates, that opens up a whole lot for other people. Like, there's a big void there.
I mean, quite possibly, I feel me leaving the independent territory is the equivalent of just dropping a gigantic nuke. Yes, it's going to
leave a different direction there. I mean,
it's a professional interview, so I would appreciate it if you stayed professional. Can you just turn the camera off? You just turn the camera off real quick?
Sorry. You mentioned a nuke being dropped on the independent circuit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did. Because without me, how many amazing talkers are there left? How many amazing in-ring performers are there left? How many hybrid professional wrestlers, total packages are there left on the independents? I don't know. Would I love to see somebody stand up and go, yeah, I'll be the next top guy? I would love that. I am begging, I am pleading to see that happen, because unlike people realize, I do genuinely care about professional wrestling. Do I care more about the bottom dollar when it comes to my professional wrestling? Yeah. However, I am very excited to see who the next crop of independent talent is. You know, you had amazing guys in my crop, and I think almost all of us that I came up with. It's a ridiculous thing to say. I've only been wrestling 3 years. No big deal. But who I came up with, it's gonna be very interesting to watch. Who is that next crop gonna be? What's the next gen?
As we wrap up, are you familiar with the name Danny Almonte? He was a Little League baseball player, pretended he was much younger than he really was to gain a competitive advantage, maybe get a little bit more hype.
I see where you're going with this.
Are you actually a 40-year-old man?
I see where you're going with this. So here's what we're gonna do.
Oh. Social Security number.
I'd like you to read aloud what year it says on this ID.
2017.
Okay, pal. Very funny. 1996. I don't know.
You're giving people your driver's license numbers.
Is that a problem? Is that not allowed? Whatever. Look, man. It's not my fault that I was able to attain my dreams while you guys just simply dreamt dreams. That's not on me, you know? There's some people out there that like to go, oh, MJF cut the line, MJF doesn't deserve all the success he's getting.
So you'd call yourself the Susan Boyle of professional wrestling?
An ugly, fat lady?
She dreamed a dream. And she made it happen.
you know what, pal, I have a dream. That you'll get out of my hotel room. This has been an amazing interview. My name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you and you know it. If you have any other question you would like to get out of the way, that way you can get out of my face, now is the time.
Did you steal Stokely Hathaway's CD player?
Get the fuck out of my room. Go. Now.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com. You guys know who this is. I mean, the Blue Meanie. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. I'm enjoying myself here at Starcast number 2, Electric Boogaloo, and having a great time. I like doing these things because they're like high school reunions. You get to see everybody and not fall down and get hurt and all that stuff, you know, but that's for another day.
What's it like getting that paycheck without bumping?
Oh, man. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. No, but most importantly is you get to interact with the fans, which sometimes at live events and shows and stuff like that, you only get a certain window of time, First day with the new mouth, I'm sorry. To talk to people, you know, it's usually an intermission, it's rushed, it's like 15 minutes, it's hi, how you doing, goodbye. Here we get to chill out, take time, share stories, share memories, you know, because I'm still a fan too. Yeah. So, I mean, if I was in the business, I'd be here right now myself. So I'm very fortunate that guy just walked through our shot. So I'm so lucky. But
you noticed and I didn't. And this is my job and I didn't. And we're about to have more.
And here comes the run.
And here it comes. Almost.
Yeah.
Almost. How does it make you feel when you see BWO shirts in 2019 strolling about? Like, I was walking around in Las Vegas, and literally somebody I had breakfast with had a BWO shirt on. I'm thinking, man, that's cool because, I mean, obviously spoofing the NWO, but your shirt is also timeless.
It's insane. You know, it's 2019, going to be 2020 soon, and, you know, it's almost started in 96. I'm bad with math, but, you know, and we just celebrated the anniversary, and just for the fact that people still remember it.
Yeah.
You know, you see ECW shirts, and then you see BWO shirts, and then, like, if one shows up on Raw, my timeline explodes. And it's so cool because, you know, in this business you can kind of be self-conscious, so, you know, you're like, you wonder, doubt yourself, you know, you go, did I do anything? And then see somebody wearing a shirt on TV, and it's really cool to know that somebody remembers you, you know, in a good way. You know, I just consider myself like the Philly fanatic of pro wrestling, the comic relief, and, you know, if I can, you know, one person remembers me, I did something.
Something I've always wondered, have there ever been any BWO members that were pitched but didn't happen?
We had a lot of honorary members, like during the heyday when you're really, really, really pushing for people to buy the shirts. Like, we would do a run-in and New Jack would wear a shirt, or the Pitbulls would wear a shirt, or something like that. Not any honorary members. When I was in the WWE, Joe C. from Kid Rock was going to be.
Oh, wow.
He was going to be Meanie, and we were going to dye his hair blue, and he was going to come out and be Meanie because I knew Joe C. But when I was starting the training and with Al Snow and all that good stuff. But as far as BWO members, there's been plenty of honorary members. Honorary members,
Meanie, I want to thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. I enjoy your timeline and your insight and stuff. No, seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Very cool, and thanks for having me. And I hope to see all you out at I'll see Bill Apter's line. I'll see you at the matches.
He gave me my start.
Yes.
Bill Apter. We're out.
Nice.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at FightfulWrestling.com. Here with AEW's Alicia Atout. Alicia, how you doing? It's one night, not to date this, but it is one day after your AEW debut.
We can date it, because yesterday was amazing. I am just on cloud 9, being a part of AEW's debut show. It was pretty big and very exciting, and just the vibe backstage was incredible. Obviously a great show, so probably a longer answer than you expected, but I'm very happy.
Long answers get our word count up. And how did this differ from the All In show with a lot of the same people, but a different production, a lot of differences as well?
I feel a big difference is at the end of the day, everyone behind the company knows we're not getting rid of this ring. Everything here is ours, and we are going to be using it for months, if not years to come. So All In, a lot of talent even didn't know, is there more? What's going to happen? Whereas when you come away from Double or Nothing, you know there's more, and everyone's very excited for the future.
Who reached out to you to make the deal with AEW a reality?
Yeah, so I've pretty much been dealing with Cody. That's been my main go-to, my main boss, and it got to the point where once I found out AEW really is a thing, it's not just rumors, this is happening, I reached out, and I said, hey, how are you? If you need someone, hi. And luckily it all just worked out.
You did some work for Impact too. Impact has been around a little bit longer, a lot longer, and maybe have solidified themselves, at least from a production aspect, and have things done their way. How did that differ from your AEW experience?
It was definitely different because when it came to AEW, it was just on such a grand stage, and the production was just, it was so spot on. I feel like everything was just run flawlessly last night, especially for a first show.
Yeah.
You would expect some kind of screw up, but there really wasn't between the matches, the production, the timing, and I know that was a really big thing for everyone backstage. Of course, we know last year with All In, there was that time crunch for that main event, and this year, it was just flawless. The production and just the organization there is pretty incredible.
How will your schedule be affected by AEW? Because I know right now they're getting started with a few events. It goes to TV in the fall, but how will your personal schedule be affected?
So I'm in talks with them right now doing stuff going forward. So it's one of those things where everyone's just going to have to wait and see what comes out of it. But I expect to be very busy over the next couple of months. I'm really excited.
So I got to ask, AMBY, is it going to continue?
Yeah, AMBY is always going to be a thing, whether it's interviewing AEW talent or just being at conventions. I love it. And if it does come to the point where somewhere down the line, someone says it's part of a contract or something, this can't happen, if it outweighs it and it makes sense for a career choice, just being very blunt with all the fans watching, then you have to take really good opportunities.
Well, let people know about AMBY and where they can find it.
Yes, so AMBY is my YouTube channel where I host tons and tons of interviews. There's like 2,000 or 3,000 on there. It's
great stuff.
Thank you so much. So just type up AliciaTube.com and everything is on there.
Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank you
Means
so much.
a lot.
Thank you.
We're out. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here with Carmella and the 24/7 champion. And I wonder every time, does R-Truth worry about the former SmackDown Women's Champion? Maybe.
This is my dog right here, man. This is my pick. This is my partner in crime, dog. You know what I'm saying? We share this thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I ain't worried about that. I'm worried about everybody else. I'm worried about you too, because I don't know what you got up your sleeve.
So when you're at an event like this, there's more than just you guys
right,
here.
Exactly. There's them, those people out there, and little Jimmy that won't stop jumping on the chairs.
These WWE PR people that we deal with, maybe they want to get in front of the camera. Maybe they want you all to do the PR for them. They're coming after that gold. Are you ready to protect R-Truth against everybody here?
Always. My head's on a swivel. Everywhere we go, I'm always watching his back and he's watching mine. So.
That's my dog. Give me some.
You've had like a variety of roles in WWE. You've managed, you've wrestled, you've done a lot of this stuff. I mean, what does that say to WWE's confidence and your versatility?
Well, I think it shows that I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I just want to have fun and make the most of my time here in WWE. I feel very lucky because I've had the opportunity to do a lot of different things and show a lot of different sides of my character, and I don't think that many people get the opportunity to do that. They're kind of pigeonholed into one sort of character, one sort of role, and I feel like I can sort of, whatever is thrown at me, I'm going to make the most of it. So I just want to have fun, and right now doing this stuff with Truth is like the most fun I've ever had, and man, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
You were a hardcore champion back in the day as well. In addition to this, how does this compare to being a 24/7 champion?
It doesn't compare at all, dog. You know what I'm saying? This is a whole new living right here. This right here, this got everybody and their mama wanting this one. You know what I'm saying? But that's not happening right now, dog. My baby is staying with me and Mella. That's just what's gonna happen.
Have you been at appearances and people make attempts, people try, or at least imply that they're gonna try?
Of course, all the time. But I'm not worried about that.
Do you feel safe in your own home?
No, I don't trust nobody at my home either. I don't trust nobody at church. I don't trust nobody at picnics, at birthday parties. You know what I'm saying? Nowhere, nobody, but Mella.
So I understand you were a dancer for MC Hammer back in the day.
No, that's incorrect.
Is that incorrect?
I was with his backup dancers back in the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because I mean, there was always that talk. There's the picture of you with Tupac that's out there.
Right. Well, I was with I was a show opener for a lot of people like Digital Underground, Third Base. I can't think of these people. Kid and Play, Kwame. Can't think of the girl name, etc., etc.
Who would win in a rap battle, Vince McMahon or Road Dogg?
Oh, man, you know D.O. Double got some words, man. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna say Vince because he's my boss. How you like that?
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com here with Drew McIntyre. Drew, how you doing?
Oh, fantastic. I'm in Toronto. This place is wild, for one, but it's also, Canada. Canada love their wrestling. The fans know what they're talking about when I've been hanging around.
You've been back in WWE for quite a while. You made that entrance into WWE and were kind of crowned the chosen one. Looking back, you think that was a gift, a curse? How do you look back on that experience of Vince McMahon coming out there and straight up saying, this is the guy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't regret anything. He's never introduced anybody that way, and I assume never will again. So that's just part of my history. I think no matter what, things wouldn't have necessarily worked out for me the way they are now because I wasn't ready for it. So the way I look at it is when I get the opportunity and when the time is right and the right story, that moment and that run is going to be a significant part of the growth of my character. But first I need that kick-ass heel run.
Yeah. You had a lot of experience outside of WWE. You were doing a lot of different things. You were in Evolve, you were in TNA. You really changed and evolved yourself, no pun intended. At what point did that switch flip for you and say, I'm going to make some changes, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to come back in a different way?
When I got fired that day. I got the phone call. I was a little surprised. I think the person on the phone, I was a little surprised. The fans were a little surprised. But to be honest, there was no way I could logically transition into anything serious, and I don't think it would have panned out if I did. I think I had to go away, apply the lessons I learned outside of the non-stop WWE environment, because this place never stops and we're always creating content. It's very difficult to reinvent yourself, within this world if people know you a certain way. So the way I looked at it is I got the call. By the time my girlfriend, now wife, got home, I'd already made the plan. I was going back to Scotland to give my mission statement. I was going to show the world who I really was and what I could really do. And, thankfully things worked out. People gave me a platform to show who I was. And I started as I'm going to return to the company no matter what, as a more polished performer. And by the time I was building companies around the world, I really considered I probably will never go back to WWE. I'm making a difference. The WWE name sells the product, like Drew Galloway, Drew McIntyre, but my real name's Galloway. It's what was making a difference to all these companies around the world. And do I really want to go back when I'm making such a difference? And it wasn't until my TNA contract lapsed, my wife and I had to decide our next move, that I was thinking I was going to go to New Japan probably because I really want to go there and really want to work there. That I got a call from William Regal, who's a bit of a mentor of mine, who told me we take a call with Triple H. We spoke and decided the next move was WWE and NXT in particular.
I love the story on Table for Three about how you developed the Claymore almost by accident. So when that happens and it was a bit of an accident, how do you refine something like that wasn't supposed to happen?
For one, I had to get those pants loosened so it didn't happen again. For those who don't know, I ran for a big boot when you run and kick someone in the head. The pants were too tight. I was worried about the crotch splitting, so I kicked my other leg up, landed in the back of my head. But I also kicked Ryback in the face at the same time. I was told afterwards when I regained consciousness, wow, that kick looked pretty cool if there's any way to do it safely. So I watched it back and then worked on it and finally figured out a safe, effective way to do the kick, which became the Claymore.
Drew, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. I appreciate it. We're out.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Denise Salcedo with Fightful.com, and right now, I like that energy.
Excited. I'm a very excitable person.
Well, with me right now is Sami Callihan. Sami.
No, you got to do it again. The Draw, future Impact World Champion, Sami Callihan. Do it one more time for me.
The Draw, the future Impact. I was going to say Impact Champion.
Future Impact World Champion.
Future Impact World Champion, Bound for Glory, October 20th. You're facing the Machine. Sold out.
Announced it today, sold out. So you guys, you're welcome.
Dude, how does that make you feel? I mean, sold out. Not a lot of people can say that, but Impact is doing it. And, what does that mean to you and to the talent and to everybody?
Well, there's been some other companies that's ran there recently that's only draw like 200 people. So I think that's a big feather in our cap. We're the company that pretty much had one foot in the grave a couple years ago. Now with the new regime, the new roster, we've really stepped up and become the little engine that could in professional wrestling, the island of misfit toys. And now the entire world's talking about Impact Wrestling once again.
You know, I like that you mentioned the whole one foot in the grave thing because, you know, let's face it, Impact has had a lot of homes, but, you know, it's the dedication of the fans, the uniqueness of the storylines, and the talent that's coming out, and, you know, guys like yourself that are going out there and they're, you know, doing these things. So was there ever a moment where you were like, you know, I just really want Impact to be seen more, and how did that sort of feel when, you know, you found out that it was going to be on Access?
I think that was one of the biggest issues with everyone that was on the roster. We've been putting on some of the best professional wrestling shows on a weekly basis for the last year, but not a lot of people was able to see them just with terrible timing and terrible stations that we're on at the moment. With this opportunity to be on Access, now the entire world is going to be able to see exactly what we've been doing the last year. People wanted the Attitude Era. We've pretty much given them the Attitude Era. Impact Wrestling's not afraid to offend some people, to ruffle some feathers. They're not afraid to step out of the box and give people that edgy wrestling product, and we are that true alternative and one of the only companies that will, like, cross those lines.
Well, speaking of crossing those lines, you had an incredible rivalry with Tessa Blanchard. I mean,
everyone always wants to talk about Tessa.
Well, don't you think? I mean, come on, like you guys went out there and you guys killed it. When I was watching you guys too in the ring, I was just astonished. You know,
I'm not surprised. I'm really good at professional wrestling. I don't know if you know that. Like, I'm really good. But the thing with Tessa Blanchard, I don't think it should be intergender wrestling anymore. It's just professional wrestling. In 2019, it's all about equality, and it's okay to see someone like the Incredible Hulk fight Black Widow, or it's okay to see Storm from the X-Men have to fight Magneto. Like, professional wrestling can have more in the lines of Game of Thrones than they do sometimes a professional sporting contest. Sure, we are some of the best athletes in the world today, but we can also do truly remarkable storytelling.
No, I totally agree with that. And now, speaking of that, on October 20th, with Sold Out Bound for Glory, you're facing Brian Cage. What would it mean to you to not only win the title, but also go into Impact's premiere on Access TV as champion?
It's exactly everything that I've said I was going to do for the last 2 years. I quit another company. I created my own future. And right now, I get a chance to step up for all the people that aren't the status quo, for all the people that are the odd ones, for all the people that's always told no. I am not the guy. People want to be the face of their company. People want people like Brian Cage. They want the big, jacked up guys that looks like the wrestlers from the 80s. But I'm different. That's why I connect with people. And when I walk out on October 20th, the Impact World Champion in Chicago, the entire world's going to have to listen to me. And the entire world's going to be watching Impact Wrestling that much more, because anything Sami Callihan does turns to gold and equals ratings and numbers.
Now, moving on, you know, on October 29th, every Tuesday, Impact on Access. Why do you think the fans should tune in to watch?
Because we're the best professional wrestling product in the world today. I think with everything I've said in this interview, like, Impact Wrestling is hard to kill, and we are the edgy wrestling product that people have been clamoring for and begging for years.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sami. Guys,
I'm really good at interviews.
Yeah, no, you're awesome.
Killed it.
All right, guys, don't forget, check out Impact on Access every Tuesday starting October 29th.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here with Samoa Joe.
How are you? Good. You have a great you guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very, you YouTube, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah.
Very rare.
You got it.
Yeah,
you got
it. It hit me right there, yeah.
So I talked to Josh Rafferty recently. He mentioned working with you. He's worked with a lot of pro wrestlers. You've obviously got that MMA base. You've got that type of style. Was that ever something that you maybe thought about going into?
No, because I came up in Southern California when it was outlawed, and all my friends who were MMA fighters were not making money except for like 2. So yeah, it just really wasn't financially feasible at the time. But yeah, and then since then, after that, I was just too old to get back into it, because I don't lie to myself. I know the elite athletes. I know what they do, and yeah, you're just going to get hurt.
Does it surprise you that so many pro wrestlers, I mean, I know he's somewhere else now, but Chris Jericho's even working with Josh Rafferty. We got a lot of pro wrestlers that are stepping over doing that now that MMA has kind of exploded a little bit more. I
think that's kind of par for the course. As things evolve, as a audience becomes more educated to combat forms and styles that maybe guys who are with martial arts knew about for years. Like, you know, you have to expand the game. I mean, it's obvious that they've changed perception. You know, I remember when sleeper holds were you know, something that was just, oh, you know, you can keep one on for 6 minutes, and now it's a little bit different now. So I mean, that's all kind of from MMA.
You became a free agent a few years ago when things were changing, and you had a real unique deal where you were able to work a few different places at the same time. WWE quickly snatched you up. How did that make you feel? Did you feel like that was like an endorsement of the skills that you showed in that brief time when you came into NXT, or did you just kind of expect that?
I expected it, but that's just more personal motivation type stuff. But I mean, in reality, I mean, it's been part of the course for me. Like everywhere that I've gone, ROH, I remember walking into and Gabe Sapolsky telling me, listen, we can't afford a flight from California. You'll never work here again, but thanks for coming tonight. And then shortly afterwards, hey, you're working every show from here until forever. TNA was very much the same thing. Hey, you're an internet guy. We don't have television. We're going to bring you in. And, you know, I don't know what we'll use for you afterwards. And then, you know, obviously that went well. And it was the same thing here. And, you know, I've never had a nice entry into a company. Nobody's ever said, oh, man, we can't wait to have you here. It's like I show up and they're like, oh, why didn't we hire you sooner? And I mean, you know, there's some satisfaction in that. So, but that's kind of been part for the course of my entire career.
And I mean, you always hear the stories about people who went to bat for you, like earlier on, like.
Oh, there's tons here for years. I mean, years. And you know, Vince vehemently opposed me being in WWE. You know, he didn't know me, wasn't familiar with me, and now you know, we have a great relationship and everything's working fine.
So now that he gets to see you firsthand, he gets to see you in person. Like, what kind of feedback did you get from him upon entering the company? Maybe the first time that you knew that he saw you.
I think he just realized you already bought it, so you might as well use it. No, you know, like I said, with every promoter that I've ever worked with, it's always about time and understanding. And you know, we've had some time, we've had some understanding. It's working out pretty well.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here with Ali. No first name. Heard you talking about that recently.
Yeah, the name might have changed, but the person behind it doesn't, and it's all good. You know what I mean? Now it's easy. Now people know who I am. You know what really was happening, though? One side of the crowd would chant Mustafa, and the other side would chant Ali. And it was just a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Now there's no confusion.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the person behind the name. You had these great vignettes that you were very clearly instrumental in, and it seems like you still are as they've made their way to WWE TV. How much input do you have on those now?
They're mine, 100% mine. They're not written, they're not produced, they're not directed by anything WWE. I showed a few samples of Vince McMahon himself, some of the producers, and Vince's direction was, if we get involved with it, it's going to become its own thing. I like what I see, go out and make it your own. So he literally tells me when he needs them, and I make them. So it's very, very cool that someone's self-producing, self-writing, self-directing, and making their own vignettes.
You were abruptly called up from 205 Live. How far ahead did you hear about that?
I didn't find out. There's no advance notice here. It's like a recurring theme up here. I had showed up for the SmackDown Live TV taping and was told that night that I would be having that match with Daniel Bryan, and I was assured that it was just a one-time deal. It's a one-time. You're still on 205. It's just a one-time, but make the most of this opportunity. And I was just thinking, like, oh, let me use this moment to get some exposure for 205 Live. Maybe, you know, I'll capture some fans' audience and bring it over to 205. And then the following week I showed up and I was told that morning that, hey, you're making the move to SmackDown. You're teaming with AJ Styles versus Bryan and Cena, and you're on SmackDown now.
And that was the double taping, wasn't it? Where you had the two shows back to back? Because I remember you had the match, and then a lot of people were like kind of waiting to see what would happen on the next SmackDown to see how you'd be featured. How do you feel about that? Because I mean, you had been involved in some pretty prominent stuff right out of the gate.
I think this year's been a huge roller coaster for me. I mean, I've been on. I went from the guy that was never on a pay-per-view to the guy that was in the main event at Money in the Bank. I pinned the WWE champion at the time, Daniel Bryan, and yeah, I felt like I was being heavily featured and everything was going my way. And then obviously this huge injury comes up and completely takes me out of the title picture. And I've been back for a few months, and I feel like I just can't seem to get my feet, underneath me for some reason. And it's just an issue of there's X amount of hours and so much talent. You know what I mean? I tell everybody that I've climbed that mountain once, and that opportunity was there. I just have to climb it again.
Ali, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Give me the superhero pose.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here with Braun Strowman, or you can't see, but the Crocodile Hunter.
The Croc Monster.
The Croc Monster. What motivates you to rock with the Crocs?
I don't need motivation. Look at these things. They're fashionable. They're comfortable. If you have to, you can put them in 4-wheel drive, and you can just like get in the mud, and they're easy.
I think not having motivation is kind of the point, right? So, we don't see you wearing these on Raw when you're tearing stuff up.
No, these are when I'm in a good mood. These are my party shoes.
You're strictly business too sometimes.
Yeah. When I got the boots on, then watch out.
Yeah. So you have like such a fun job. You get to tear stuff up all the time. Like, what have there been anything pitched where you're like, really, I get to tear that up?
Constantly, like literally, like the ideas that come across the table and things that we've done, like it's great. Like I get to win a lot of the times. A lot of times I get to work and I have no idea what's going on, and I'll pull into the building and I'll see our stunt team out like messing around with stuff, and I go, wonder what I'm doing today. And get in and then get to talking to the boss, and it's always the best. He gets so excited for these things. So do I, and I feel like the fans do as well, because let's be for real, I've been turned into a real life comic book character. Like I am the Incredible Hulk brought to real life. So it's been awesome, the things that we get to do, and it's never a dull moment at work with me, and it's constant craziness.
In pro wrestling, there's always that suspension of disbelief, but you got guys like Brock Lesnar. Like, he can beat people up. He did it in the UFC. People look at you and they're like, well, yeah, of course he can really tear that stuff up. Look at him. I'm really interested in how a conversation with Vince McMahon goes over something like this.
It's kind of just like, this is what you're doing. What do you think? All right, let's go.
Have there been any ideas come across the table that maybe you got excited about but didn't end up happening in that regard?
I'm trying to think. No, most of the time, when he gets his mind made up on something, he goes full bore until he does it. So yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything that we've talked about doing that we've never ended up doing.
You recently announced on Instagram that you've signed a new deal with WWE. You're locked up there for a long time. How did that process come about?
It was just, we're winding down. I had a little over a month left in my contract, and we just came to an agreement, and I felt like both sides of the party were happy, and look forward to 4 more years of people getting these hands.
Did it surprise you? I mean, with a month left, did it surprise you that kind of didn't get out there? Because a lot of that news does get out there.
It does. I try and keep my business life as quiet as possible. I hate it when people outside of the business know what I'm doing before I know what I'm doing. So it's kind of cool that we were able to keep that hush-hush and nobody stooged it off to the dirt sheets like so many of these marks like to do.
Hey, sir, excuse me, sir. Man, the man in Crocs just bashing the dirt sheets. I can't handle this. Braun, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
We're out. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com. Here with a name that you guys know, Matt Striker. I was just telling you off the air, big fan of your seminars. You got a lot of knowledge to impart on the wrestling world. How's life for Matt Striker these days?
The way I look at things is this. I woke up this morning. That's not lost on me. There are a lot of people out there that they pine over the minutia of life, or they really think they've got a bad lot in life. When you look around, we woke up this morning, so I think we're doing okay.
So we're here in Las Vegas. How has your experience been?
Well, I've been working with Fight and for StarCast the entire weekend since the minute I landed on Thursday. I do get to get on a plane later on tonight and go back home to New York. It's beach season, so I live right on the beach. I can't wait for that. But it's been great just to see how, in the media and the news, they're trying to divide us. Everything is division. But here, no matter your sexuality, your religion, your race, what kind of food you like, what kind of clothes you wear, we're all united by one thing, and that's this great sport of professional wrestling.
It has been a very positive experience, and you mentioned you're doing stuff with Fight. Your versatility as a broadcaster, as a wrestler, has paid off for you. Do you see more wrestlers stepping into that full-time and really following that?
The thing I'm noticing is that a lot of people don't realize there are so many elements and aspects. People call it a business. I didn't get into a business. I got into a sport. Then I realized that there's a business side to it. As far as other wrestlers trying to do it, it's not easy. And I'm fortunate to have gone to the Harvard of pro wrestling, whether you like them or not. WWE, I learned from Vince McMahon. I learned from Kevin Dunn. I learned from Triple H, from Arn Anderson, from William Regal, from Dean Malenko. That's an education that cannot be replicated.
I mentioned to you, again off the air, you did this great seminar that I saw. You when you share this knowledge, how often are you doing the seminars? Do you still do them?
Yeah, I love doing the seminars, and I like to break it down to one simple question. It goes beyond wrestling, it goes out for people. Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you making this decision? Why are you allowing something to have control over you? Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn just did a panel, and Rob talked about mental health and he talked about depression. And to me, when you give something power to impact your life, that to me is a choice. So finding out why we make these choices is so vital to me, and the seminars are a great way for me to disseminate that information, said the former school teacher.
Well, when you ask yourself why you did this interview, it's because I bugged him too. Matt, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and I like your work.
All right, Fightful.com, we're out. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com here with Mance Warner.
Master, baby. King of Big Dog Side, Larry to Lightbeard, master of the pop-up headbutt, knee pad up, dramatic pause. Let me turn this around when I hit that dramatic pause. Knee pad down, baby. Old Mess right here, Starcast 2. I poke God. What's going down, big dog?
One of MLW's finest. Tell me, how did MLW reach out to you? How did this deal come together?
MLW saw Old Master. They saw me fist fighting people here and there. Brought me in. And I'm out there right now just beating the hell. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, you
beating the hell, the shit, the damn, the fucking out of everybody out there right now. Me and Sammy tore each other up a little bit ago. Now we're in a bit of a tag team out there. So we'll see what we get into out there.
I was about to ask about that. Was that like sort of a mutual respect thing that developed between you guys that led to this tag team? Because as we've seen, he keeps his circle very close.
That's very true. What happens is it's very few and far between where you find somebody that gets in the ring and they spit and they claw and they headbutt and eye poke and punch and kick. Sammy's he's a nasty guy, Old Master type thing, man. You got common people out there you don't like, and now you end up being in the tag team. There it goes.
MLW is known, they give a little bit of a leash to some of the people under their contract, so you're still wrestling everywhere. What's it like balancing that with your MLW duties?
Old Master loves it, man. I can't complain about nothing. I go out there every weekend. I get to hang out with the fans, pound light beers and fight, man. I love it, man. I can't complain about it. The damn thing at this point.
As we finish out 2019, we still got about half the year left. What are you looking to accomplish in MLW? Anything singles, or are you and Sammy looking to really take that on?
Old Master's always wanted just a couple things in pro wrestling. Hit that pay window and get the gold, baby. That's all it is. Show up there and get it done.
I want to thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Big deal, but yeah, they've got a dummy that they have built. Here, you want to toss me that? Yeah, sure. You want to get a look at this bad boy?
Oh, you put it on?
You can.
That's a tight fit.
Allison Kay wouldn't earlier. She was afraid it'd mess up her makeup and her hair.
Yeah, my eyelashes are too long.
Yeah.
Like
they didn't. Did they even put eyelashes on me? They drew them on. They drew them on. Come on now.
You don't have any top eyelashes.
Guys, this is Jordynne Grace, or should I call you Trisha Parker?
Call me whatever you want. I'm fine with whatever.
Goddamn! Is that gonna make somebody mad?
Who would it make mad?
It might made a lot of people mad on the internet.
Okay, well, it's not gonna make me mad. Might make Cornette mad.
Might make Cornette mad. Do we need to move this mic a little bit closer to her? No. All right, cool. We're good.
I just moved it closer.
So you posted that. You put your real name out there.
I did.
That's bold. It's a brave move.
No, it's not. It was on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It's been on Wikipedia for years.
I've had wrestlers that I've interviewed, and like I'll do the long forms on them, the long form features where I go in depth and stuff, and they'll be like, "Hey, can you remove my real name from that?" And I'm like, "It's out there," but they're like, "We still don't want people to know."
I think it's weird. I think it's weird that we don't know our coworkers' real names.
So, who do you call by their work name backstage that might surprise somebody?
By their work name?
Yeah.
Not their real name, their work name.
Yeah.
I call a lot of people by their work name because, like you just said, a lot of people don't like their real names being said out loud, which, like I said, I think is super strange.
So you prefer that? You prefer that?
I prefer the real name.
Yeah.
But if I don't know it, I'm going to call you what I know you as.
So, but I mean, like, you can see the gray area because we've seen like CM Punk do interviews and he's like, "Why are people coming up to me calling me Phil and all that stuff?" And he's just kind of known as that. And in the MMA spectrum, a lot of people gave him grief. They're like, "Well, why are you going by CM Punk?" not realizing that lots of people use nicknames. Mirko Krokop, Chet Congo, they all use nicknames professionally and personally.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think that wrestling is also in a period of transition.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think it's going to take like some getting used to. And I'm not saying that I have everything like figured out, but I'm saying like if fans come up to me and call me Trisha outside of the ring, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, you're not going to be mean to them.
Yeah,
over that.
no, definitely not. I think it's totally fine. It's just like I wouldn't go up to, you know, who is it? Robert Downey Jr. and call him
Iron Man.
Yeah, I think it's strange.
Tony Stark. So, I mean, wrestling is in that unusual area of where, because a lot of people say, oh, well, why can't you do stuff in wrestling that you do on Breaking Bad? And I'm like, well, if Jordynne Grace goes out and cooks meth on an Impact show, she's got an audience of witnesses she's playing to.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little bit of difference
I mean, I
there.
guess technically we could, right?
You could.
People know I'm presumably not really cooking meth.
Yes.
Right?
Well, that's the thing. But, I mean, you're playing to presumable witnesses that you reference on the show. Like, Lucha Underground, I kind of understood. Like, on Lucha Underground, there was no, like, show on El Rey or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They pretended it was in its own world. Like, how do you tiptoe around that stuff? Because you get into controversial angles and stuff, and there's some stuff that people will see as entertainment, but there's some stuff that people are like, oh, I can't believe they would dare to do that.
I think people need to understand that it's all a show.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing that people need to understand, that is that it's a show, and I think it's pretty rare that people are like doing stuff for real. And if I do something in the ring that people don't like, I don't think they need to like put that together with my personality outside of wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a bad person because of something I pretend to do. Like this whole Scott Steiner smacking me on the ass thing.
Yeah, that blew up.
Dude, like, it's ridiculous how many people are saying, like, oh, you fell for everything you used to stand for. It's sexual harassment. How is it sexual harassment if I have agency over my own body and someone asks me if they can do something in a show and I say yes?
And it's you playing a role, right? I mean,
exactly. Like, I just don't understand how people can say it's sexual harassment when I gave permission for that to happen.
So, I mean, when you look at that and it is somebody playing a role, has there been anything that you've heard and you've been like, nah, I'm not doing that. That's too much.
Yeah, that wrestlers have asked to, like, kiss me in the ring, like, stuff like that. And, of course, I'm going to say no because I think my fiancé would have an issue with it. Even though it is a show, I just still wouldn't do it out of respect for him. And I know there's a lot of actors and actresses who also don't do sex scenes just because of how it looks on them.
How many tweets did you get when your contract status was a little bit up in the air that was like, oh, well, she's definitely going to Ring of Honor because that's where her fiance works?
A million.
Because I got several, and like, I don't think I'd ever spoken to you publicly at that point. So I was like, man, she has to be getting a ton of those because people just assume, oh, well, she's going there because she can't be happy anywhere else.
There was a lot of speculation about where I was going, but most people thought that I was probably going to go to Ring of Honor just because that's where John is, obviously.
And, I mean, he's got a big hand in that with the dojo and a lot of that. But, I mean, why do you think it is that people, for some reason, think that wrestlers in different companies can't coexist in a relationship like that?
I have honestly no idea. I think it's because, like, maybe the companies are competing with each other.
Yeah.
So maybe there's, like, some kind of discord in the relationship because of that. But there's nothing like that between me and John because I don't really feel that Ring of Honor and Impact are directly competing. Ring of Honor is its own niche, or it used to be. It still can be, and they need to get back to that. But I think Impact is doing something totally different. They're doing intergender wrestling, and they have, like, this whole like, liberal thing going on.
I look at women's wrestling and Impact, and I'm like, man, that's the marquee attraction right now with the people. I think Kiera Hogan is incredibly underrated. I think she's really great. Taya Valkyrie has just exemplified champion. Tessa Blanchard, yourself, like, I look at that and I'm like, that's 4 really good pillars to have for a division. And they signed to Neil Dashwood, too, that has somebody with WWE exposure. Do you see them maybe building the show around women even more and more as things go on?
For sure. I mean, at Slammiversary, they had the main event was an intergender match. So I think they're definitely starting to, like, build the women just as much as the men at this point. Like, we're side by side. It's not like the women's division is under the men's division at all.
Yeah.
They're giving equal, like, opportunity, and they're putting eyes on both products.
Did that surprise you how all in they went on all this? Because, I mean, they've had fluctuating regimes, to say the least. So any vision kind of got erased after a year or so. It looks like things are on track with Callis and D'Amore. They haven't went anywhere for a while. They seem to have a pretty distinct vision of what they want to do.
Yeah, I think they have a really distinct vision of what they're gonna do, or what they're gonna do, just by hearing what they say in the talent meetings and like hearing what they say to me personally. Like, I'm super excited in the direction everything is going, and I think people, maybe they're not gonna be surprised, but they're gonna be like really like happy with what's coming up.
So who do you look at in that company and you're like, man, I got to work with them, male or female, whoever it may be, and you're like, I just got to get in there with them?
So me and Tessa, we really, really want to tag team, and we want to challenge for the tag team titles.
Yeah.
And I think Ethan Page and Josh Alexander,
that's a
I
good
think
one.
it would just be an incredible match. I think it would just blow it out of the park, and I think that'd be awesome to see. I don't know if they've ever had like an intergender tag like championship match like that, but I think that'd be really cool.
I mean, I guess to some degree, because Eric Young held one of the Knockouts titles, but that was a little bit different. None of you were playing
comical.
Yes, none of you were playing comedy characters.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you look at that, is that something that you've taken to Impact and been like, hey, we wouldn't mind doing this?
Oh, did you, I actually made a tweet. It was me and Tessa. I did a Snapchat where we like stole the
oh
tag
yeah.
And I recorded us, and then I had like Ethan walk over or whatever, and I was like, oh, put him back. And I was like, oh, management said if we get over 1,000 retweets on this, they might give us a tag title. They didn't really say that. they didn't exactly
those
say
tweets
that
are always fake though.
in those words, but it got almost 2,000 retweets, so I think people really want to see it.
Yeah, so intergender wrestling is a big thing. I mean, it does bonkers traffic online too, so I see why a lot of indie wrestling companies want to do that as well. Tony Khan said he wasn't necessarily a fan of your spot at All In. What did you think about that?
I think that it's his company, so he can do whatever he wants.
Sure.
I don't agree necessarily with what he said. I also don't like domestic violence. I'm really against that, but I think he's also sort of new to the wrestling world, and so maybe he doesn't understand it entirely, which is totally okay. And I think that maybe once he sees like some proper intergender wrestling, he might change his mind. I'm gonna turn this off because it's like blowing up. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll wait until you sold me on the bear hug as a finisher. The first time I interviewed you, I was like, bear hug as a finisher. What's up with that? And you're like, yeah, I eliminated people out of a battle royal with that too. What made you flip the switch and say, I'm going with that? I'm doing that.
Man, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you guys. Like, my cardio is not the best. And I saw the bear hug and I was like, you know what? I think that's believable. I think it's believable that you can like squeeze the life out of someone. Yeah. And also, I don't have to run or really pick up anybody. I could just like stand there and hold them as tight as I can and squeeze as hard as I can. And I think that would be an awesome finisher. And that's kind of how that works.
Well, I mean, and if you ever want to switch it up, I always have these vivid memories of when I was a kid when China ragdolled Marlena.
Yeah, exactly.
And
there's
that was
a ton of
horrifying.
different ways to do it. And like I said, I did win a battle royal with that. I had the girl on the outside, and I did the bear hug until she passed out, and then I just dropped her to the floor.
Yeah.
So there's creative ways to like make it work.
Impact World Championship, is that a goal of yours?
That is absolutely a goal, 100%.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people, they see that and they immediately think, well, if Tessa would have won that match and become champion, oh, is she just going to face men? Why wouldn't she be able to defend that against other women?
I think that's kind of what they're going for.
Yeah.
I personally think that they just need to make all titles inclusive of everybody.
Really?
I don't think there needs to be any separation at all. You know, me and my fiance, we argue about this constantly because he does not like intergender wrestling.
Yeah.
He thinks that it should be like a special attraction, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I don't really think it's fair to call it a special attraction because I feel like we should just be able to do whatever we want. In this wrestling world, women can be just as strong as men.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fair that Rey Mysterio can wrestle Big Show and it be totally like okay, and someone like Jessica Havoc can't wrestle Petey Williams. It's not fair. It's not fair to me.
Who do you look at outside of maybe who's signed as like maybe Impact could bring them in? I mean, there's Diamante out there. You've Evilise just got the AEW thing. Jazz did as well. Yeah. Mercedes Martinez is the name that always gets brought up a lot.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly is going on with Mercedes. I thought she was like going to be a coach at the Performance Center, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But I know she's retiring really soon, but I think if Impact offered LuFisto something, I think that would be awesome. I think that, you know, she definitely needs that. She's been wrestling for years. She's a veteran in the business, and I think it'd be awesome to have her there. I think it would definitely change her mind on the retirement thing.
So after you signed your new deal, you're locked up at Impact Wrestling. How was that when you go back there? Because, I mean, you had some pretty public negotiations there. Was there any sense of awkwardness, or are you just like, hey, got paid, got my...
Yeah, there was. I mean, I didn't feel any sense of awkwardness at all. Like, no one mentioned it to me in person. It was just like, just going back to work. I mean, I don't think it was a big deal at all.
You bet on yourself there, like heavily. You rolled the dice. And
I was terrified. I don't think I've ever been so scared in my life because, I mean, I could have gone anywhere. Like, I really, really, really wanted to stay with Impact.
Yeah.
But if they weren't going to give me like what I thought was fair to me, then I was going to leave.
Yeah.
And so I just decided, you know, like, I'm going to stick with this, and whatever they say. I was like waiting on a phone call back because they were like, oh, okay, we'll talk about it. We'll have a meeting. And I was like, man, I'm so nervous. And they called me back within like 5 minutes and told me, and I was like, thank you.
That had to feel good that they called you back that quick. That had to make you feel like a priority, right?
Yeah. That's what I love it there. Seriously.
Yeah. And I mean, with the level of talent that is there, I mean, it's not hard to see why they'd want to retain you, because they want to stack that talent. Because let's be honest, quite frankly, if that didn't work out, you're not at any loss of places to work.
I definitely don't feel bad or guilty about pressing the issue, because I think people need to negotiate for what they feel they're worth, and I don't think they need to just sign a contract right off the bat just because they're offered a contract.
And I mean, did that make you feel more secure that you heard that? And I mean, that had to send also a pretty positive message to that women's locker room. Like, this is a woman who's important to us, and we made sure to lock her down. It may be when we should have earlier.
Yeah, I think maybe, but a lot of these girls are already locked into contracts.
Yeah.
So
I know Kiera signed a new one recently.
Yeah, she signed a new one recently, and I hope she got what she wanted. But it's not as public, it's not as open between all the wrestlers as I think it should be. You know, I think that we should all be like just talking about it and seeing what's like fair to each other. And I think we should all be getting what we're worth.
Do you think that that's going to adjust more? Because just as things stand this week as we're filming this, Impact's on TV, Ring of Honor, MLW, NWA just announced tapings, AEW, WWE, not just WWE, they've got like 4 brands right now.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to become more public among people backstage?
I think so. I hope so. There's a lot of people that don't want it to be, though. You know, all these like differing minds and opinions in wrestling, they're always going to clash. So I guess we'll just see what the future holds when it comes to that.
And as I mentioned, NWA announced that they have TV. How, like, with not just them, but all these companies, how does that affect Impact? How does that affect you? Because, I mean, even though you're signed with Impact, you do work other companies. You work a lot of indie dates as well.
Yeah. I think it's great that there's all these TV shows now and all these different promotions getting TV, because all it does is creates more opportunities for people. Like, and if my Impact contract comes up in a couple years and I want to go somewhere else, like, I have all these opportunities to go other places, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So as we look at that and we look at all these places that there are to work, how do you think that adjusts game plans? Because as I mentioned, it does seem like Impact focused a lot more on women's wrestling. MLW doesn't have a women's division. NWA, I mean, they've got a champion but not a roster of people. Like, what kind of strategy can you see Impact taking to really capitalize?
I think Impact is going to go this more, like I said, this more liberal. What's the word?
Inclusive.
Inclusive, maybe just like they're just doing like crazy stuff that I guess other promotions aren't even thinking about right now. This intergender stuff, Tessa going for the world title, like, I don't think any other promotion has ever even like
outside the box stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Impact is just going to go that route, and they're going to go hopefully 150%.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, the entertainment aspect of this and how it's viewed as a show, do you think that that's like the mentality they're going to take? Like, it's an entertainment show, why not?
Yes, I think, didn't they just have like someone run over a kid? Yeah, so I think they're definitely going to do that. I don't know, you might see me, don't take this out of context, but you might see me cooking meth in a kitchen one day.
Okay. The kid was in the audience in the next shot, I think. And Eddie, I think it was Eddie Kingston. I'm pretty sure he ran over Roman Reigns last week as well. Eddie Kingston doing the damn thing. Man, so we look at that. We look at the way that Impact's going, and It seems like the roster, like, my God, that roster is insane.
It's stacked, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, I feel like it's like all the misfits that never really got like their comeuppance.
And now when their contracts coming up, everybody's like, hey, what's up?
And then I feel like Impact got a lot of like eyes on people, and then people are like seeing that how good these people are. Like the Rascals, I don't know if anybody knew who they were before Impact, and now they're like these superstars basically. They're doing crazy stuff every single show.
This iteration of the most recent iteration of LAX became one of the greatest tag teams in the world under the Impact banner, and got all these bookings. What are you looking forward to for the rest of 2019 in Impact, outside of Impact? Because I mean, they have you doing some other dates outside of that as well.
Yeah, well, outside of wrestling, I'm excited for Bound for Glory. I think that's going to be cool. Like, I'm not going to say what's going to happen, but I think
You should just say. You should give us the full rundown. Give me the script. I'm ready for it. You can transcribe the script. You can go to them and be like, listen, Scott, I'm ready to transcribe this. CC Sean at Fightful.com. Let's do it.
Anyways, so outside of wrestling, I'm actually taking the whole month of December off.
Oh, really?
I don't think Impact's running at all. And so I'm not going to be leaving my house for probably 3 days straight. And I'm looking forward to that the most, to be honest. Not that I'm trying to push like the year by, because I have like, you know, some incredible matches coming up and I'm going a lot of different places, but I hate flying. Like, it stresses me out to no end, and I'm just ready to just like relax for a month.
But that's a luxury that not a lot of like pro wrestlers at your level have been afforded. They can't take a month off.
Yeah, and that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to, you know, get what I thought I was worth with Impact, just because even though I'm not wrestling for that month, I'm still, you know, guaranteed to be able to live my life.
Yeah. Let the people know where they can follow you on social media before we wrap up.
You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All of them are at Jordynne Grace, JORDYNNE, or Trisha Parker.
Guys, leave that thumbs up. We're out. Let's go ahead. And I'm going to record this too. I'm going to turn on my recorder.
All right, we're going to do the little Inception right now.
Because as we do this, and I'll...
Ooh, there's fancy mics?
Yeah, I've got 2 mics here.
We'll sit in the chair.
Try to hold it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Try to... Wow. So...
I don't want to give away your content, so let's keep this one. And then I'll give you some exclusives for yours.
Yeah, so here's the first question.
Right.
This is a real interesting one.
All right.
I tried to set up an interview with you in Toronto a few weeks ago. It didn't work.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. It happens. But I did interview Jordynne Grace, portrayed by Trisha Parker.
Yes. Okay, all right.
And here's the thing. She goes, well, how are you going to interview him? And I'm like, well, he's in Toronto. And she goes, no, he's not. He's in the UK.
Yeah. I was in England, yeah.
But you told me you were in Toronto.
No, that's where I live. It's near Toronto.
Oh, see, there was some confusion.
Yeah. Sorry. That's a hard-hitting question?
Yes.
Oh, no, that's not hard at all.
I thought I was going to catch you lying to Jordynne Grace, portrayed by Trisha Parker. I thought like I was catching you.
No, I was actually in the UK.
Okay.
For Southside Wrestling.
See,
yeah.
because like I even showed her like you. I was like, listen, look at this. She's in Canada right now.
Yeah, because she sent me a message about it too. She's like, hey, are you supposed to do this interview? And I was like, I think we set something up, but I'm in England. I'm not in Toronto right now.
Now, see, I think the wires got crossed because I was like, where are you? Like, where are you? I think maybe you thought I meant where you located.
Well, no, because I actually did. I'm going to stop filming on mine. I'm sorry.
Sure,
you guys can do your thing. Yeah. I wanted to do it during the week, I think, because I had 2 shows in Toronto for the SummerSlam weekend, Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
So I was there, but on the Friday morning, I flew out to England.
Oh, so you were there Thursday and Friday?
Wednesday, Thursday, I wrestled in Toronto, and then, Friday.
Were you at Midtown, the event theater? The Smash shows?
No.
Okay.
No. They won't book me.
Really? Why not?
Because I won't work for them.
Why? Why is that?
Just like personal grudges and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's just
you beefing with Sebastian Suave? What's going on here?
No, he's not worth beefing with, so that's why I'm just like...
Really?
Yeah. So it's just something I just avoid.
I
don't wrestle in Canada very often. Just for myself. Alpha One Wrestling, check it out.
That's interesting. See, I didn't know all this. They were very accommodating to me.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because you give them good press. And
of course, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's accommodating when you can give them something in return.
Well, not everybody. I've dealt with some PR people that got mad that one of our writers, who only has like 1,000 Twitter followers, interviewed one of their people with like 400, and they're like, WWE wouldn't want you to do that. And I'm like, they'd probably be stoked if we did that, if your people couldn't get your face on a screen at all. Like, we've had some people. Not Impact, though.
Sure. Okay.
Not Impact.
Impact's been all right?
Ross is really good to us.
Yeah.
There are sometimes I'll get the, hey, there's no availability. And I'm like, God damn it. But there are some companies that will just be like, no, we don't want to get press for our people that have nobody knows exists.
Well, okay, so my thing is, let's say the company might have a big following and they think that they're doing it all themselves.
Yeah.
Why not have your wrestlers, because I'm assuming it's not WWE.
Yeah.
Why not have your wrestlers gain experience doing interviews like this and then getting the exposure from you guys and building themselves up?
And there are some unique circumstances, like AEW, there's not as much interview opportunity as there used to be, but they have Chris Van Vliet on their roster, who it's like, if you pop up on his screen, that's 75,000 views immediately. Why wouldn't you want?
He like exploded my YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's amazing. And he's one of the best interviewers in the game too. So I see that. But you are an Impact. Ethan Page, formerly known as Chandler Parks.
That's right.
How did you feel going back there after your departure?
And I actually never departed. So we did the Chandler Park character, and then there was some work visa complications.
Yeah.
And all it was the denial, or the process got denied so many times they had to keep resubmitting and adding more paperwork in. I don't know, it's all legal mumbo jumbo.
I mean, that stuff's fast. I mean, that's stuff that a lot of wrestling fans are kind of learning about
especially now, with the POC stuff that just happened and the Dragon Gate USA guys during Mania weekend, like, for the wrestlers to work in America, it's literally the hardest country to get the paperwork for.
The OWE, I think the president, man, he was not happy about that stuff. He was going off on the president and everybody that he could about the fact that they couldn't get their visas for I think Vegas or whatever that may be. And like, really, admittedly, I was early into covering things when it happened to Speedball Mike Bailey. That was when it was like, oh, okay, that's some stuff you have to watch out for.
Yeah, so it happened to him, and it happened to him after it happened to Sleazia Sparks, who was doing Ring of Honor at the time and was like a big part of my act in America. So she got banned for 5 years. Then the same thing happened to Mike Bailey. And then Josh Alexander and I actually got flagged. So for about 2 years of my career working in America, I would get pulled into the border every time I crossed without fail because it was like marked on my passport. You need to pull this guy in. It got to a point where I was crossing every week to do bookings, and I'd have to tell them what I'm doing. But some of the border guards, because they see the record of your entries into America, they literally were like, look, dude, I'm so sorry. I have to send you in. And that was the point where I was like, okay, I think I'm fine at least crossing the border. They're acknowledging the fact that I'm allowed to do this.
Yeah.
Then when the visa paperwork actually came in, that kind of changed the game for me. But yeah,
that stuff's fascinating to me. Like, I had someone who worked Australia who would come over here and they would tell me like, well, I can't do this. I can only volunteer. I can only do this.
Yeah.
And then maybe they can sponsor my visa. We spoke about Impact. Admittedly, I thought when AEW launched, I thought maybe Impact might be a victim of that. It seems like they're not. They're growing. They've signed to Neil Dashwood.
Yeah.
We've even heard about them like financially reimbursing the wrestlers even better. I mean, there are squabbles here and there, but it seems like they're growing and getting stronger. Some other companies maybe not experiencing that same fortune. How do you think the landscape is changing in wrestling from that perspective with AEW around and some of that?
Well, I think, like, I was saying this yesterday in an interview I did with Killer Cross, and I like kind of figured it would get like weird reactions online because I'm currently on the roster with Impact and Cross is in like limbo.
Yeah.
And we were joking around about how, like, like, right now he asked for his release. It's public. He's talked about it. So I'm not, like, breaking news or anything or stirring the pot. But we were joking around about how, like, originally there was, like, an unwritten rule backstage. It was like, look, like, we had meetings about it. And it's like, if you don't want to be here, just let us know and we'll let you go.
Yeah.
That's not a rule anymore because the landscape of wrestling has changed drastically.
Categorically, yeah.
And it's like, if you don't want to be here, kind of too bad because we need as many stars as we can.
Yeah.
And like, that's not what they're saying. I'm not putting words in their mouth at all, but it's also a business, and like,
sure,
we're in competition now with so many more companies. It's just like, we can't lose big name stars like that. And we can't just be letting guys out of the
And Cross is a name that's exploded over the
especially
last
recently, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a very versatile guy. He's done the Bloodsport thing. He did the Natural Born Killers shows,
And he's great on the mic.
Which are blowing up. Yeah,
great on the mic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he's a versatile guy because if he didn't want you to know that he had a shoot background, you would never know it based on like how he wrestles. He's able to transition. I had asked you on a media call about how one time where like you keep like an X Division style almost.
I try.
Yeah. And one of the most unique hybrid moves of that body slam off the top rope. I love that.
Thanks.
It's like a concept that it's like, okay, why didn't people do that before?
I actually stole it.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, maybe my memory is different and it might have been a different move or different wrestlers, but I'm 99% sure this was at a IW Mid-South show before they even started blowing up with Colt Cabana versus CM Punk, and I'm pretty sure they did a body slam off the top.
That's awesome.
I wasn't even a wrestler yet. I was just watching music videos with my friend in elementary school at the time, and it just stuck with me because I was like, it's the most basic move of all time, but they brought it to like the ultimate level. So now I've been trying to like change my move set to be the most basic moves in wrestling. Like I do a backbreaker, that's one of my moves, but I try and spin over 360 degrees.
That's great.
Just so it looks like it's like, oh, he's the best at doing that basic ass wrestling move. And same with the body slam off the top or the power bomb. I'll just try and launch the guy as high as possible.
Yeah, you see people like they get creative with simplicity. And
that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an art to that, and I think that works because the first time I saw that, I was like, man, that just sticks. That works. Do you remember the first time you did that?
I want to say the first time I ever did it, maybe a first time I ever did it on a show that people would see was I think at Evolve with Darby Allin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, was the person who took it like, well, let me see about this, but if it's Darby Allin,
yeah, no,
what kind of a bump?
You know what? Maybe I tried it on a couple indies first before that, but yeah, that would be the first one where I remember seeing a photo taken of it and like I was holding him up and like you see the whole ring and it's like, oh damn. And that was many years ago and I've been trying to do it as much as possible ever since.
So Impact, you're still working some other dates too. Why is it you don't work Canada that much?
One thing is a money thing with sorry to get too inside baseball here with my real life, but the American dollar is so strong right now. Yeah. So for me, let's just say today I got paid $500 to wrestle in America. That's almost $700 for me.
Yeah, Canadian.
So,
yeah, it's 75 cents to $1 right now. I'm up on that conversion rate with the Toronto parent company.
Yeah, so for that, like, I'll work in America. I'll sell a T-shirt for $20. I got it printed in Canada. I go back home with 20 American. It's $22.50 or $23 or whatever it is. That is such a big difference. Also, convincing promoters of like the price to book me with the exchange is not really something that people are willing to spend. So, and I fall victim to that too, running shows in my hometown. When I book these American talents, like let's say I book a big name and they're 1,000 American, they're not 1,000 American, they're 1,200 plus their travel and hotels and stuff. So
where do you find yourself working the most?
The States.
Well, I mean, obviously, the States, like
Chicago. I'm in this area at least once a month minimum, sometimes twice a month. And when I come out here, I'll usually stop in St. Louis for like a Glory Pro, or Black Label Pro is in Indiana. It's like an hour from here.
Oh, yeah.
And then Freelance Wrestling, Warrior Wrestling. So there's 4 companies right there regularly that I'm doing work with, and that's all in this area. And everywhere else is kind of just like when it comes up or what comes my way.
Yeah, and I mean, they're bringing. You are based in Toronto, correct?
Yep.
That's where the confusion began.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're flying you in. Has there ever been? I know it's easier said than done. Thought of relocating or anything like that?
Yeah, my wife and I have talked about it, and I think if I ever moved, it would be to somewhere that I could kind of, I don't know, cater my career to changing. So like an LA or something like that.
Sure.
Where I can start focusing on other things while using wrestling to continue to pay my bills.
Toronto's a great city, though. I love that.
Not
city.
a fan. I live in Hamilton. It's like 40 minutes from there. Yeah, so I'm okay with being in the smaller big city because it's just too busy. Like I've done like placements there when I was in college for like production companies, and it's just too many people, too much going on. I don't mind like disconnecting from it. And I don't know if that's just because of the way my lifestyle is and I'm always on the go, that when I come home, I don't want to be like pestered with stuff. So
yeah, I passed Hamilton, I think, on the way to Niagara Falls.
Yeah, that makes
which
sense.
is the most expensive place.
Oh, Canada is just expensive.
Well, yeah, fair. I get most of my stuff reimbursed, though. So, hey, shout-outs to Fightful.
Rub it in.
Ethan, I want to thank you so much.
No problem. That was painless, man. I'll do this with you anytime
Painless.
you want.
wrestlers of the world.
Yeah,
painless.
This is a good interview.
We're out. I can't handle it. Bun looks trash.
I go like, does this help?
It's the star method, man.
Okay.
Man. Yeah, like I feel like our knees shouldn't be exposed here.
Where am I
like,
looking?
What's
I'm supposed
going?
to look him in the eye?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Well, you can look at.
Is this too far away?
Here you go. You can.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Are you sure it's you? Or was it made for you? Or was it like, this guy looks like Sean?
I even said that their hairline was very, very like generous to me. I was
That's
like, mine
the way
isn't that good.
cartoons are. You know what I mean? Like the ears are also large. You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen like the hunting pictures where people take their dogs out hunting and they like hold up their tail and stuff?
Yes.
I think it's what I should do with the bun.
Yes.
Just like I'm proud of it, man.
Have you worn this?
Barely. My boss.
I feel like if you look at it on the inside and it's gross, people will think you're gross.
Do you want to work Virgil?
No, because I don't have $20 on me.
So here's the funny thing. I went to Midtown yesterday and I saw him there.
I saw your. What is this?
I saw him there and I was like, man, I would love to have him come film a skit, but I know he would charge me money.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I think a reasonable price.
That's the thing. Okay, so one time I wanted to have him do a run-in on one of our podcasts.
Yeah.
And he was like $20. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then he was like $40. And I was like, okay. Are we rolling by chance?
What?
Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Okay, good. Why not?
Am I too far away from this?
Microphone?
Yes?
Yes.
Oh, you know, like, you can be here.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, who cares? I don't care. I planned on this to be the most spontaneous interview ever. Here we are. It's RJ City.
No pre-interview.
No pre-interview.
I was not prepared at all.
I'm not warming you up at all.
No, I did just notice there's a wonderful fridge of Stella and Monster and water, and you did not say a single thing about it. You did not offer. It's too late now. We've started.
Well, here's the thing.
One of my knees is red. What is this setup?
I told you I
feel
have
like Frasier's dad.
I know.
This is terrible.
So we just kind of rushed up here. I got done with the previous interview. I pushed you in here. You're more than welcome to a water or some beer that I can't pronounce. What kind of shoes
let's
you're
talk about your career.
Let's talk about what kind of shoes you're rocking
These
now.
shoes,
Let me see.
They're whatever, you know, Nikes, but they're so light. They're not the normal. You can see the and they were so light. I enjoyed them so much that but these are hefty.
Right? Wait. Let's turn them around so you can see the SRS. Oh my God, they're a little dirty.
Oh, this is you. You designed these yourself. You said I want the speckle on the trim.
I did.
I love these shoes so much. I started wearing them in the house as house shoes, like Seinfeld would. And then I said I have to take them out. Once you take them out, you can't come back in the house with them.
I like how I had our producer Brady throw up this tweet so we could reference it.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about Nikes.
Just like, this is my logo. This is just this whole thing is my logo.
Your future Titantron is this.
Yes. So obviously this is from a while ago. This is from almost a month ago.
Yeah.
It obviously struck you.
Way to date this. Maybe I was going to put this in the can for a while.
Aren't we live? So why did this strike you, and what do you want to say about it?
I just want your thoughts. Like maybe some.
You want my thoughts? This is a tweet.
Okay, so say that someone doesn't wash their ass and they still like rim jobs.
Yeah, well, first of all, they're a disgusting human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're really burdening the other person.
Well, some would argue, and I'm not arguing this. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Devil's assvocate, I guess. Maybe people who thoroughly wash their ass don't like rim jobs. Some people.
No, I feel
not
like
all people.
I feel like those people are like, I don't get my ass eaten, and it's like, well, what? No one asked you.
Yeah.
They get weird. They get almost homophobic about it. They get really aggressive, and it's like, listen, if you had really been in your ass, which everyone should be, because we should all have clean-ish asses.
You're not clean unless you use wet wipes.
Not that we should do colonics. Not that we should spray distilled water up there, because the intestines should be relatively dirty because there's bacteria counteract them. I digress. I've lost your whole wrestling base already.
I just want to say, we've got an honest-to-God world champion, like, sitting Just like, what the fuck am I doing here?
The wonderful Greg Gagne is with us.
Greg Gagne.
And then if you get in there like you should be comfortable enough to honestly know that it's a pleasurable experience.
Sure.
So when you say that, when you say, I don't like rim jobs, tells me I have no experience with my own ass. I'm frightened of my own ass is what it's telling me.
At what point did this epiphany hit you and you were like, that's the only reason?
In the shower.
Why? Okay.
And I was like, see, I did, if you had been watching me take a shower, you would have seen all this steam and then see me go, see? And then that's where the tweet came from.
I mean, let's be honest. You're involved in show business as well.
Yeah.
Is this like a thing that you picked up from show business? Because you don't hear all this ass-eating talk in pro wrestling.
I first heard at a poker table, Ed Asner told me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I said, if it's good enough for Ed's ass, it's good enough for mine.
Good enough for yours.
Yeah. If it's good enough for a Lou Grant rim job, I call them Lou Grants now. Give me a Lou Grant, and they say you got spunk.
I'm gonna pretend that I know who some of those people are.
Is there anyone over the age of 62 that could perhaps interview me? It would be a lot better.
So we will talk.
Hey, do you want a Stella or a Monster or anything?
Do you?
Do you? I was just offering.
I have a water.
What do you have?
Here.
Oh.
I have a water. Would you like some of it?
No, thanks.
It's okay. It's
okay.
very smart water.
No.
So we will talk a little bit about wrestling and as.
Yeah, sure. Wrestling sounds like fun.
Yeah, there are some things like you're doing. As we film this, 2 shows tonight. Like, yeah. Ideally, I would be doing this interview in between your 8 p.m. booking and your 9 p.m. booking. But that's not happening.
No. And I also don't like, and this is a question I have for you.
Okay.
Because I've seen your work.
Okay.
Because you retweet a lot of it. And when you're interviewing people, like on the scene, at a convention or something, you have that shitty little tape recorder thing, right?
Okay, so if you want... Lindsay, you want to toss over my backpack here?
Oh.
Well, we'll bring in Lindsay. People know who she is.
Lindsay, ladies and gentlemen. Lindsay,
thank
you. Just the arm. Wow.
So first off, professional setup with the backpack, right? I want to have you grade this. Okay. MJF was the first person to see it.
Yeah.
He didn't like it.
Yeah.
He didn't like it at all.
Because in fact, the other thing you had.
Look, I've got like.
This is something. Compared to what you had before.
Well, we're working with it.
Much better.
I'm new here.
To me, I feel like the other thing, I'm like, how do you even feel like an interviewer?
I've got a 4K camera,
You're holding out that nobody cares about. Everyone's watching this on their phone.
Video.
They're watching this on their phone on Starbucks Wi-Fi. It's the lowest resolution.
That's a good point.
No one cares about quality anymore. It's just content.
Well,
what are you putting out today?
Segue time. Segue time. NWA, MLW, Ring of Honor, Impact, WWE, NXT, AEW, they all got TV.
Well, TV is a relative term, but okay.
Sure,
everyone says, we have TV. I'm like, do you just have a YouTube show?
Well, maybe.
I'm just whatever. I'm just saying TV, the word, the phrase, the whole business is changing. Not even wrestling, television.
We can take the tweet off, by the way. We can get rid of that.
Is there any other ones? Is this it? Is this all I've tweeted about rim jobs? That seems strange.
So what does that mean for RJ City?
This is like feels sparse now. What does that mean for me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well,
I've been on TV. I'm in syndication in over 100 countries.
I know that. I'm aware of that. But
I'm a filmmaker. I'm a rock on tour. I have 2 things, non-wrestling things in development right now.
What's that?
I'm not telling you because they're in development. One somewhat wrestling related, but idiotic, and one that's not my demographic at all. And I'm hoping that demographic doesn't find out about the wrestling demographic.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll coexist very well. And then what else? And then every Sunday morning, I do live on YouTube. I make coffee in my underwear. Is that on TV? Does that mean I have TV now?
It is if they've got a smart TV.
Sure, whatever.
Smart
water, smart television,
smart TVs.
Smart people.
We're here to rock it. So I mean, but what does that mean for your wrestling career? Because it is like that's not all you're doing.
What are you asking?
I'm
what does
asking,
that mean for my wrestling career?
Like, what would the expansion of wrestling content, as you say?
Yeah.
I don't want to say TV.
Right. Well, it's not. Yeah, okay. It's
you'll
not
wash
all
your
TV.
own ass about it.
You mean it's more than it is more than standard television?
It's HBO.
It is HBO.
It's HBO.
What does it mean?
Yeah,
I will say when content.
What do you think that it will mean for your pro wrestling career, your schedule,
for
a lot of that?
my career,
yeah,
or just in general?
Will it change things? What if one of these companies comes and makes you an offer and says, "Hey, but maybe you got to scale back"?
And I've said no.
Yeah, okay.
Because whatever. Some of them are not very good. Not very good for me.
Yeah.
For someone else, they may be great.
Yeah,
was not in my particular genre of idiocy. I didn't feel terribly moved by them. I'm a very weird person. I like doing my own stuff. probably, I'll say it, if any companies are interested, probably a bad idea to sign me.
Okay.
You know, I don't think you want to hand me a microphone or just have me backstage.
Well, I mean,
hashtag don't sign RJ.
I saw that you made Alicia interview you in the shower at one point.
Well, she was like, let's do a round. I'm like, well, the acoustics were terrible. I don't know, we're in a hallway or something. I was like, let's do it in a shower. Like the old Steve Allen,
there you go.
Boris Zukov, WrestleMania 6.
There we go.
It was an appropriate acoustic environment.
So, I mean, you've got all this stuff going on. You've legitimately got a lot of stuff going on.
I got a bunch going on.
You are kind of minimizing your wrestling stuff, but tonight you've got 2 shows that are going on at the same time, and you're on both of them.
I'm on both of them. It's a mistake.
Yeah?
At this point, I should just not be on any of them.
How far apart are they?
10 minutes, but it's Toronto traffic, so maybe
at
also
night.
45.
Yeah.
One starts at 8, one starts at 9. The one at 9, my understanding is I'm opening that one first, which is a mistake, and then going back to the 8 to be the main event. And one, I'm wrestling Space Monkey. One, I'm wrestling Rhino, so this is a little safari for me.
So you're working the 9 show first.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Fantastically illogical, like indie wrestling should be.
And not only that, you're main eventing against Rhino, who's fresh off a WWE run, looking to let some people know that he's still
and that he has a boatyard, Big Daddy's boatyard in the greater Detroit area.
I saw Chris Van Vliet interview him, like out by a marina or something.
Yes,
that was fantastic. So. Oh man, where can I go from ass?
If only you wrote down some questions or did some research or something.
Well,
what a shame.
I did, but
and not for nothing. 443 people, not bad. Like respect.
Just at the time that I sent that to him.
So now who knows?
Probably 500. Yeah. By the time this interview ends, at least 460. We'll get you another 3 or 4.
I appreciate it. Go back. What was it? July 14th? Not you. You don't have to go back. He had his hand on the switch.
How is that not your pinned tweet?
Take it easy. My pinned tweet is the entire anthology of the David Arquette feud.
Okay, that's fair. That is something, and that is something you've done. See, I didn't want to just like be like, oh, you and David Arquette, you're buddies. Because I get the feeling
we
you're
didn't
asked
even
that
say we're
quite
buddies. We're contractually obligated associates.
Okay, but I didn't want to hop right into that because I get the feeling you're asked that a lot.
Yeah, I also, there's bigger celebrities I know, but whatever. Go ahead.
Who?
It's fine.
Let's name some.
David and I are both friends with Paul Rubens. I think David would put Paul above him.
Sure,
easily. Ruth Buzzy. Does anyone have television anthologies or some kind of thing? She was on Laugh-In. She was on the Dean Martin roasts.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. No.
Mario Cantone.
I don't know who that is. At all. I don't know who that is.
Sometimes, I'll tell you what bothers me. I like Mick Foley.
Yeah?
I opened for a stand-up show.
Yeah.
I loved it. I enjoyed it. We get along swimmingly. We did great promos together when he's on shows. We have a blast. And then sometimes on Twitter, he'll just like my tweets.
Yeah.
I would be like, Mick, you got 4 million followers. Help me out a little bit.
Tap that.
Throw some change my way. But I guess he doesn't want to share all this rim job with his followers.
Do you think that Mick Foley has ever gotten a rim job?
I like him. He's a good person.
He's not going to follow me on Twitter
you know what?
anymore.
I don't think he's too good of a person.
So you got to be a bad person?
You got to have something that's askew.
Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah.
Who's the most famous person that follows you on Twitter?
Rosie O'Donnell.
Really?
Yeah, because I got blocked by Trump.
Okay.
So after that, she was like, let's all get together.
So I don't like to get political and stuff, but I was talking to the OWE VP.
Yeah.
And like he straight up in the middle of the interview was like, yeah, we didn't have some visas cleared. Trump. I was like,
which is so probably not.
It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I would love to know what that process is. Like, I don't even feel like Trump is aware of that visa process.
I get the feeling he was like, fuck T-Hawk, fuck Lindemann, fuck SEMA, they're not coming. But they all did. So.
Yeah, so it worked out in the end.
It worked out in the end.
But
and it can work out in your end as long as you keep it clean.
Yeah, there's a good... And see, you should have a sponsor. You should have like a blue chew, but for your ass.
They do sponsor me.
Oh.
They do sponsor.
They do?
Yes, they do.
Could have fooled me.
Well.
Anyway, what's your next question? Oh, you don't have a list.
I don't have a list.
Do you want a Stella?
Do you?
No, I'm good to sit here. I'm fine.
I'm getting you.
No, I'm going to get bloated, and then people are going to confuse me with Rhino when we get to the match. Let me just hold it.
Here you go.
And I don't want to give them the free plug, so I'm going to put my hand over the logo.
Not YouTube star, RJ City.
This is how you know I'm turning into my mother, because my first thought, instead of drinking the beer, was to go, oh, that's so nice.
God.
Oh, that
anything
feels
else
great.
you want to get out there? Anything else you want to get out there?
Like plugs?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing? No, I feel like people can look me up and follow what they want, and then not follow what they don't want. We're in a digital age. Nobody's sitting there with a pen and paper.
You just told me to make a list.
Come on. You're stressed?
I am.
And you need to calm down.
Leave a thumbs up. Until next time, we're out.
Probably good.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com here with, as we're sitting here, NWA World Women's Champion Allison Kay, also known as Sienna. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Not really known as Sienna anymore.
I
but
know.
It's okay.
Well, Bloodsport used that as your...
At first. They changed it.
Did you tell them to?
I did.
Oh.
I was like, hey, just so you guys know, that's going to go away.
Do you own that?
No, but I'm allowed to use it. However, so here's the thing. My Instagram and my Twitter are verified as @Sienna.
Okay.
And so if I change the handle,
you lose it.
I lose the verification, which at first I thought was maybe a big deal. Now I'm thinking not so much because it's confusing people.
Yeah.
And people just see my handle, so they're calling me Sienna. So I need to change that. Also, one-word handles are very sought after. I've learned.
Okay.
Because I get harassed by 12-year-old Siennas on the daily.
Ooh.
Via DM on Instagram.
Is there another famous Sienna out there?
Sienna Miller.
Okay.
I get tagged in a lot of her stuff too. A lot of people, really young and really old, don't fully understand how to tag people on Instagram. So I get tagged in pictures of 10-year-old Siennas, horses. That's a very popular horse name I've learned. And sometimes a minivan.
Okay. So what made you decide to do that? Because if I remember correctly, Impact had a thing where they were like, okay, basically all of our IPs, we don't give a shit about them. Anybody can use whatever. And
Yeah, that's what
EC3
happened.
snatched his stuff up real quick.
Yeah, a lot of people want to keep theirs when they've been that for a long time.
Yeah.
I was Sienna for a couple years, and to be perfectly honest, I've always hated that name.
Okay.
I didn't like it. I didn't want it at first. I tried to push for other names, and none of them stuck. I did not want a one-word name, and they were not having it at the time. And then, of course, shortly after, they're like, everyone can just be their indie name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I was very surprised when they did that because, I mean, they went to battle with, like, Matt Hardy and the Hardy Boys over that stuff.
I think that's probably why after that, they're like, you know what, just...
More bad will than anything good that could come to them. So you're going by Allison Kay now, and Bloodsport does have it changed. I'm real excited for that because, quite frankly, we don't see a lot of that style in America out of women, and we're going to see that with you.
Yes.
And Bloodsport is, I mean... Fightful covers MMA, boxing, pro wrestling. That's kind of our wheelhouse. We love that type of thing. Killer Cross ran a very similar show a few weeks ago, Natural Born Killers. What are you looking to accomplish in that space? Are you looking to maybe do that type of style more?
Oh, man. You know, I tweeted earlier this year that I wanted to get booked for Bloodsport next year. I was thinking at, like, WrestleCon weekend. I didn't realize that they were even running again this year. And I said I wanted to get booked so I could, quote unquote, butterbean these hoes.
Yeah.
Where's that tweet? I should have that tweet up in the back. I think it's too late now. It's okay. And yeah, and then it actually happened. So that gained a lot of traction. A lot of people were excited about that. I am absolutely interested in incorporating more of that into my style. I've been training and fighting in mixed martial arts for several years now. It was weird. It was a weird transition for me because I was already wrestling for years before I started training in MMA.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to suddenly change my character and, like, I'm an MMA fighter now. I'm going to wear a mouth guard to the ring. And I felt like that was kind of hokey because I've seen people do it, and I just feel like it doesn't, you know, it's a good substitution if you have less of a personality. No offense, but I just feel like if you already have something going, why change it? But I would absolutely be interested in. I'm interested to see what we can do here. I think this is where I'm supposed to shove history down your throat.
Yeah.
We're making history. This is the first time a woman is booked on Bloodsport.
So you mentioned Butterbean. You know that he beat like 3 or 4 pro wrestlers' asses. Like Sean O'Hare, the guy that played Carlito's second, he beat all their asses.
Yeah.
But he also got tapped out by like a 150-pound guy.
Look, when it comes to stand-up, Butterbean had them hands, okay?
That's true.
So we'll just go with that.
He makes ivory tusk razors now, like as a hobby.
Really?
I interviewed him a few years ago. Also, you're NWA World Women's Champion as we film this.
Yes.
And they have a different championship than the one that Jazz had kind of put out there.
Yes.
Okay, there's so many questions I have about this. First off,
how did the NWA thing even come about? Like, how do they approach you and say, okay, we're ready to go with you?
I've been good friends with Lagana for many years. He's actually how I got into Impact.
Oh,
so
okay.
he was following my work, he says anyway, for many years, and then he contacted me about Impact to coming to one of the Knockouts pay-per-views, and that's the one I ended up getting hired at. So when he kind of got involved in the NWA stuff, and I had no contract ties, he reached out, and that's kind of how it came about. The belt is very different. It's an older version of what it used to be. I want to say like the 2014 version or something. Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of the one Jazz had. I thought it was a little gaudy. Yeah, I don't like the giant belts. I'm just not a fan. I love the smaller, old school style belts.
It does. It just looks different than everything else.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the appeal of the NWA Worlds, or the World's Championship too. But I mean, that one was more recognizable. When they made that move, was that something they told you, hey, we're going to go with a different belt too?
That was actually a decision that was made at the Crockett Cup.
Oh,
so
really?
they had both of them.
Yeah.
There were a lot of rumors going around, and some people were like, oh, Jazz didn't return the belt or something like that, but that's not true. She did return it in time. We had the option of which one we liked better. I liked the smaller one, Billy liked the smaller one, and really he's the one that made the decision. Yeah. But it was fortunate that was my pick as well.
Now, I don't know if there's things that maybe you can't talk about there, but what exactly happened there? You were supposed to face Jazz, and that didn't end up happening.
Yeah, I honestly, what I know is that it was the same thing that she tweeted, that it was medical and it was personal, and I still don't know all the details on that, and I really hope that down the road we do get to have that rematch, because I was really, really looking forward to that singles match.
She's booked as, like, again, this has been a bit newsworthy week, booked for an AEW Battle Royal. Mm-hmm. She gave me the headline, "I'm nobody to fuck with," one time. I was very happy with that. But NWA also announced that they have a series of tapings coming up soon. What can you tell me about that?
You probably know more than I do at this point. Well, I feel like that's your job to get all the dirt.
Dave told me to ask you.
He told you to ask me?
He told me to ask you and to tell me everything that you know. That's what he said.
Okay. Let's see. What do I know? I know that it's starting in late September.
Late September in Atlanta.
/ October 1st or something.
Yeah.
In Atlanta. That's about it. That's all the insider information I have. I'm very excited to be back in a studio. I like those settings. I'm excited to see how the women's division is developed from there.
So when NWA has these TV tapings, we don't know where they're going to land yet. How will that affect your future bookings? Because, I mean, are you contracted to NWA, kind of like we hear that Eli Drake is, that Nick Aldis is? You kind of freelancing for them while champion? How does that work out?
I'm working. How do I word this? I am working, obviously not exclusively with them, because I'm taking indie bookings too.
Stuff.
But yes, I am working with them.
But Nick Aldis does indie dates too, but does it as NWA champion. Is that something you're looking to do more, is defend that championship maybe globally like he is? Like, I think he's been overseas and done that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that with the TV deal, I think a different arrangement is also going to come about, most likely. I just don't know exactly what that means yet.
What do you think of the kind of severed ties with NWA and Ring of Honor? And honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to get you to crap on Ring of Honor or anything when I say this. It seems like there's some instability there. The things that I had heard was that they weren't as receptive to pitches from anybody, whether it be from people that were running the dojo or maybe NWA or anybody like that. And NWA has been proven that they can develop content and interesting content. They made me interested in a 52-year-old dude that I had never heard of besides Wikipedia. What do you think of that tie being severed?
I am a little sad because it was fun in that locker room with those girls, especially the ones that are coming up now. Like, I got to see Angelina and Velvet after a long time. I worked with Angelina on the Indies for a long time, worked with Velvet and Impact for a brief time. Maria Manic was there, and so I got to see her a lot. I only did a couple of the ROH shows, so I didn't get a lot of those experiences to really know if it was a great thing or a bad thing or somewhere in the middle.
So, I mean, NWA isn't the only person you're working for these days, and definitely isn't the only person you've ever worked for. You had WWE dates last year. You've been in and out of Impact. Oh, my God.
Keep talking.
where does like your relationship stand with Impact Wrestling, with WWE, those places, and my head?
I feel like I should have brought my championship with me.
We were wondering if you were going to. We have a Fightful championship around here somewhere. Where is that bad boy? You can hold this one. You can hold this. Make a cameo.
I thought maybe holding something in my lap would feel more natural.
Look at that. Look at that.
Thank you, mysterious arm. That I
there
don't
you
think
go.
made it on
Definitely
screen.
not RJ City at all. We'd have to pay him for the cameo. Look at that. Look at that. A real champion, unlike Melissa, who she'll love that. Melissa,
Who's Melissa?
My other producer, who
Oh, the one over there.
no,
okay.
another producer who technically beat me up and won that championship.
Oh, I see.
So this is the closest I've ever really been to it. Is my head being near that championship.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you. You were saying something about WWE.
What kind of feedback did you get out of the Mae Young Classic?
My head would not fit in this. I just want to let you know.
Is that because of the hair, or do you just
I have a
got a big head?
I have a giant head. A lot
Let's
of hats.
see.
A lot of hats don't fit me.
Let's see.
No, I'm not. This thing probably stinks.
What? What's that supposed to mean? What's that supposed to mean?
You know what? I like that it has a little top knot. Anyway,
if we've learned anything out of this day in this set of interviews, is that if something stinks, you just wash it and you're good to go. That's it.
Hopefully, well, wash it then.
It's been.
And maybe people will put it on.
I never touched it before yesterday. I guarantee you, it doesn't smell. Smells wonderful.
I'm sure there is wrestling gear in the locker room I'm in tonight. That
Smells
way
like
worse.
Stella Artois. Artois. Am I saying that
I'm gonna
right?
ruin my makeup.
Oh, come on.
I have a lot of questions about the props in this room, but I feel like we should stay on task.
I'm okay with that. The people watching this probably know. Well, let's go ahead and address some of these.
I really want to hold Virgil.
You want to hold Virgil? We can make that happen. Virgil is going to make a cameo here with Allison Kay. Did you know that at the venue you're wrestling at, Virgil is there right now?
I believe he is, and I'm sure he has his merch table set up.
He is. He does have his merch table set up. Do you want to cut a promo as Virgil?
As Virgil?
As Virgil.
No, I don't want to do that.
See, I think we could get him up here, but I know we would have to pay him. There's somebody who I won't name whose face that we covered up, and I'll show you the face without you saying anything, so you kind of know who.
I already know who it is.
Oh, okay.
I can already tell who it is.
Good. But for reasons, we covered that up. We have one that my boss will not say her name for legal reasons because quite honestly, they tried to sue us last year.
Oh.
But we have a John Cena mask over there. Maybe that's more your style.
Are you allowed to say that name?
We're allowed to say that name because
Okay.
he's not really a prop here.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's going to sue us or anything. But feedback from the Mae Young Classic, what kind
Yes.
did you get from that?
I got so much good feedback that I almost thought people were lying to me.
Really?
Because like when something like that happens and you don't necessarily, like everyone, goes into something like that thinking, okay, my ultimate goal is to get a contract or something
Sure.
like that. If that doesn't happen, you think like, well, I did something wrong. But nobody had anything bad to say. So it was weird. It was weird to get so much good feedback at the same time. A lot of people have told me that was their favorite match from the Classic, from the first round or from the whole thing. And I actually just tweeted about it today because it's 1 year ago today that the first tapings were. So that was my first match back after 8 months. Was at the Mae Young Classic.
So were you expecting to get a contract after that?
To say that I was expecting, I wouldn't say I expected it.
Did you think one could be coming your way? I mean, I know,
Sure, yeah.
I know what you mean. You don't want to be like, I expected a contract.
Yeah.
Because people will twist that and be like, she expected one.
Yeah,
How
no,
dare her?
I wouldn't say I expected one, but of course it's a possibility. Like everyone that's going through their doors, there's a possibility of a contract.
Mhm.
So it's an option. And I mean, at that point, my biggest goal was just to survive and have like a great match.
Yeah.
Because it was a really big stage to come back on.
Yeah. Impact Wrestling, they've had a little bit to do with NWA here and there too. I know that they'd filmed some stuff there last year. You've been in and out of there a few times. Where does that stand now? Like, because let's be honest, since you've been there, there's been like 732 regimes.
Oh man, when I first got to Impact, I feel like it changed like 5 times in the first month. There were so many changes going on already. So I can only imagine how the people who had been there for years felt.
Yeah.
I'm still on good terms with Impact and the office and people at Impact and all that. Some of my best friends still work there. I mean, anything is possible. I don't think I've burned any bridges. I don't think.
As we wrap up, I want to ask you, who would win in a street fight, Stokely Hathaway or RJ City?
A street fight?
A street fight.
Oh, man.
No rules. None.
I think I would probably have to go with Stokely, to be honest.
Yeah, I would too. So let the people know where they can follow you on social media. And I mean, that is a little confusing because I know that you're trying to get rid of the Sienna thing.
For now, it's at Sienna. It probably won't be for long. So follow me now while you know what my handle is. And I also have my Patreon / Allison Kay.
Guys, make sure you check out NWA's YouTube page. They have a nice profile on her as well. Allison, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We're out.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com. You've seen me interview this guy before, but it was over the computer in your house, and it was a really big house. And
it's huge. It's enormous.
And your internet didn't reach all the way. It was so big.
It's colossal.
It is colossal, but I've seen the social media posts. You say it's hard being you. I'm the last person at this junket that gets to interview you. You could say it's hard to be me.
Yeah, you don't understand is actually technically the way the line goes if we quote it. Okay. But I was just going to say that is something that I have been doing while I've been off television. Obviously, I'm in a transitional period. My brother obviously had knee surgery and he was out, and now while I'm in a transitional period, I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some ideas out there. I'm going to go ahead and kickstart what I'd like to do creatively coming back. And that whole concept was developed because with social media, I have this saying, like social media, the best thing about it is it gives everyone a voice. Yeah. The worst thing about it is it gives everyone a voice. So it's like on social media, you can see like people will complain about anything, even if the scenario isn't even that bad. So that was kind of like my mindset behind doing this, trying to stay on the pulse of like pop culture and like society and like what's going on. And like you have this guy, Matt Hardy, who's been doing this 27 years, who has this pretty nice life overall, who lives in this, enormous house, Anyway, but like there's a snag in my day, snag 1, snag 2, snag 3. What if that's all he complains and bitches about, so that was the whole mindset behind that.
And that's kind of been your MO throughout your career. Like when people would expect you to have a lull in your career, it's like, well, there's Mattitude. Well, there's Matt Hardy Will Not Die. Well, there's Big Money Matt. There's Broken. There's this. There's a lot of different things. Like, do you have like even into the future like ideas in your head? Like, okay, I can pivot to this if I need to.
Yes. I have at least 2 other good things like in mind right now, and that's the important thing, especially for me now because I am much more entertainment driven than I am athletically driven. So it's important for me to have those things, and also as an artist, that's very cathartic for me, and I enjoy being able to like come up with this cool creative idea and then like apply it to something. And that's what it takes to survive in this day and age because the people's attention spans are so short. Characters constantly have to change and evolve constantly.
Yeah, you mentioned being more entertainment driven. I think 20 years ago, nobody would have expected you or your brother or like anybody involved in those types of matches that you were to be involved. What do you think that says about your longevity as an entertainer, not just a wrestler?
It says at some point I got a little more wise. I smartened up. No, I mean, it's just like, first coming in, we were young, hungry kids and especially healthy. And, we got to go out and they trusted and gave us this opportunity to go out on the SummerSlam stage in 2000 and allowed us to be trailblazers and break this new ground and do this incredible match with tables, ladders, and chairs and do these ungodly stunts and whatnot. And it was really like, for us, we had no idea how much we were cementing our legacy at that point. Like looking back, that TLC became a staple in WWE history, in the industry. Every other company copied that match in some way, shape, or form. And, there's a pay-per-view event called TLC, and it was all stemming from that match and our accomplishments in it. So I'm very honored to have that. But then as time goes on and your body changes, you have to change as well with your thought process and the way you apply your skills to the ring.
What does Vince McMahon think of the Broken Universe? How do those conversations go?
Yeah, when I first was going to do Woken Matt Hardy, I had to talk with him for 30 minutes, and I kind of explained the whole Broken Universe deal. I don't think he understands it completely. A lot of it, part of it is based off different various TV shows I watched, and it's very Deadpool driven. Like Broken Matt Hardy winks at the audience and kind of breaks the fourth wall, and I don't know if that's something Vince really enjoys or likes to do a lot or whatever, unless like maybe it's his specific idea. I think it was very involved, and I don't think he got it all. I know when he watched the Ultimate Deletion, he said, well, people seem to like it. I don't know if I get it. But like the thing that I do give Vince credit for is that he allowed me to do it. He allowed me to have that ultimate deletion and did give us an opportunity to do that. And internally, it was a success and it did well.
In the same way, I'm kind of curious as like how a Bray Wyatt or a Jeff Hardy react, because a lot of this is just you coming up with this, and you got to lay it out to them sometime. And we know that you and Jeff have very different personalities. You and Bray have different personalities. How do they react to that? Do they see the vision, or do they take some convincing?
I'm not sure Jeff did it first, but once he got into it, and once he was broken and he was Brother Nero, he was all about it, and he loved it. He really did enjoy it. Bray and I, we're much more on a similar thought process. I'm a big fan of Bray's creative process, and I love the Fiend and then the duality of the Firefly Funhouse character as well. How it gives him some range, and it's very similar in many ways to the Broken Universe. And I feel like with 5 hours of live television programming, variety is good. Variety is very good.
And now we see all these other companies on TV, so it's content. Do you ever see people, I mean, obviously you're a creative guy, and I've heard you say you'd be interested in the creative team or doing something creative after your in-ring career's over. Do you ever go to people and like kind of give them input, have these ideas that you have for yourself and provide for others?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's not really my job or capacity now, but no, there's times I'm definitely open to giving my insight or my opinion if someone is interested in having it. And I have a pretty good grasp on that. Like, I understand what professional wrestling is at its core. It's like a competition, and you really need to get like this bad guy that you want to have like some sort of one up on the good guy and see the good guy overcome the odds. I mean, that is wrestling at its core, and when you have great athletes, you make amazing matches. But then there's also stuff that is attractions, and there's stuff that's variety, and there can be a cruiserweight division, and there can be, the 24/7 thing is super entertaining, and I think it's great variety for the show as well. But there's just, it's entertainment when it's all said and done, and I think if you have variety, that is what it takes to keep viewers invested now for a long amount of time.
As we wrap up, Shane Helms back in the fold, a fellow North Carolina guy, road agent. Has he agented one of your matches? And if so, what's that like, having kind of a contemporary guy you grew up with doing that?
He has been around. He actually is on the Raw side of things now, so I don't see him typically. But no, he's got a great mind, and I really can't compliment him enough. We've obviously been friends for 25 years, but he is definitely a great contribution to the professional wrestling industry.
Matt Hardy, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're out. We're here with Mick Foley.
We're not going to include that on the thing, right?
But thank you so much for doing this. This is an interview I've been trying to lock down for quite a while, and I appreciate it.
Insistent.
I've been insistent.
I admire that, though.
I've been insistent for you, the fan.
Yeah, but I never just said, no, I'm not interested. Right?
Yeah.
I just said...
No, you were very kind about it.
How did we establish this as the place?
Derek, the guy who does PR, was like, hey, you can use the boardroom if you want. And I said, you know what? There's no machine that people are slamming a sledgehammer into to make it ding. We don't have Greg Valentine or MJF or anybody else running around here ready to attack us or anything.
And it's got such an amazing atmosphere.
It does.
Right? Yeah.
It does. I told a guy, I just like people to know I exist out of my office, so I like to appear in other offices.
There we go.
Plus, I mean, let's be real. If we were out there, there's going to be people stopping and talking to you and walking into the shot.
That would give the impression that I was somebody.
So, I want to tell you who
that's where you're supposed to interject and say, Mick, you are somebody.
You are somebody.
Thanks, man.
So,
appreciate that.
My first video interview ever before I took a 9-year hiatus, and it won't surprise you who it was. It was with Al Snow.
And you took a hiatus?
I took a hiatus.
Really? By the way, I'm wearing Al's...
Oh, you're putting him over.
Yeah. I just did more selling for Al Snow than he did for me in his career. Boom! You can expect that and more tomorrow at my event.
He practically interviewed himself, which I think that he could tell back then that I was not good at what I was doing.
Really?
Yeah, and he practically interviewed himself, and I'd asked about the infamous penis suplex.
And what did he say?
He was like, well, of course Mick is worried about that. Of course Mick is fascinated with that.
Someone actually took a photo of that event. Clearly not a flattering shot for Al. And I wanted to put it in Foley is Good. And the word came back from the publisher that if we were to attempt to put that photo in the book, there wouldn't be a store in the world.
That's amazing.
It was that hideous.
So you been on WWE TV recently.
Yeah.
Had a pretty prominent spot where Bray Wyatt, don't know if it'd be called handed over or if he took it, the Mandible Claw, but that's been a pretty popular point of discussion. How do you feel about that, and how did you kind of hear that was going to be the way that things went?
Well, let's assume I didn't hear and he did take it, and just I have only the aftermath to judge it by. I was really impressed by it. I went back and I saw it on a video, and I thought it was really impressive. I thought I was in my own monster movie there.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has continued to use it, I think is a nice way to acknowledge the stuff that I did, and happy that it's there. I love when people use. I do. Even if it's just a characteristic, a way of sitting, whatever. I think everyone likes to know that they had some impact on that generation to follow.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there's been like a little point of contention with that online recently. Like Taz, maybe I don't think he took too well with somebody using it. And that's something he's told me personally before. Like he doesn't necessarily like that. Trish told me she loves it. She loves when people do that. She feels like
Taz doesn't like when they use his move.
No, he does not. Well, sometimes because he said that he appreciates the permission being asked and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but he doesn't seem like he likes it.
All right. Well, maybe you should interview him and find out.
I know. I was interested to find out how you felt about that, because the Mandible Claw is synonymous with one guy.
I do like it. One thing that used to drive me crazy was I was actually at a WWE show. I think I was on the show a few years ago. And Wade Barrett, I would say, Wade, don't do that. It's not good for you, structurally speaking. And he would actually not just drop the elbow, but would do bang, bang before he did it.
Gosh.
And our announcers wouldn't acknowledge it. And I'm like, I'm in your Hall of Fame. He's saying bang, bang. It's crying out to be acknowledged. Just acknowledge. Everyone likes to be acknowledged. So I would disagree with Taz on that. I do like it.
Was that ever a tough sell for people? I remember in '96 when you started to do that. I mean, you're shoving your fingers down somebody's throat.
It was. I think Undertaker set the precedent where if it was okay for Taker, then who else was going to do it? There were a couple of people along the way thought it had pornographic imagery.
Yeah.
It's like I never really. I borrowed that move from Dr. Sam Shepard, so it's not like I invented it. He was the gentleman upon whom the Fugitive movie, TV show followed by the movie, was based, and it seemed like a much safer route than dropping an elbow on the concrete, especially at house shows.
And it became an iconic move.
Yeah,
it became something that sticks with you today. The hardcore title sticks with you today. You introduced the 24/7 title.
Indeed, I did.
How'd you feel about that? And how far ahead are they telling you, hey, we're doing this title? We want you to be
I
the
could
guy.
feel the oxygen just leave the room when I pulled out that title, and it wasn't the hardcore title.
Yeah.
But, I do have a say in what I do. So, I've been asked, and let me hold off on that. I think I have something better I could do down the road. But I was willing to go to the UK. I think they were in the UK a week or two before they were in Albany, New York. So I was high enough on it to go, to travel, be willing to go to the UK immediately after leaving. This is when I'd done the 3 shows with The Undertaker in the UK. So I was high enough on it that I would have been willing to go to the UK. And I did sense, I could understand, all right, this is a little bit of bait and switch, we're getting people excited about one title, giving them the other. I didn't understand the volume of disagreement I would receive, in the aftermath. But even on that first night, I was like, come on. You can't, if you're telling me that you don't get a kick out of R-Truth, opening up the, Bobby Roode opening up the door of what turned out to be my rental car. They asked me,
really?
Yeah, I'm on the Emerald Isle, so once in a while I get a nice car. So they asked me if I could stick around so I could use my.
Did you get that collision protection?
Car. No, I didn't.
Oh, no.
I'll make sure when I work for WWE in the future, I do. I was like, if you can't tell me you didn't enjoy that. If you do, you're not lying.
Yeah.
To me, you're lying to yourself. And since then, I think it's gone on. I think people are pretty unanimous in finding it entertaining part of the show.
Yeah, did you have anybody that was like maybe a little too ridiculous on social media who kind of blamed you, as if you had the title commissioned?
Look, I got a thick skin after being the GM where people were tagging me in and everything they didn't like about the show. And I'm like, all right, just hold on a second. Do you think a guy with a history of head injuries wearing sweatpants is really in charge of $1 billion company?
That's not how Vince dresses?
No.
Vince doesn't dress in sweatpants at all times?
No, he hates the sweatpants. It's a point of contention between me and Vince.
I've talked to New Day about how they changed the dress code with their tracksuits.
Smart.
I mean, is that the same with you? I mean, it's a part of your character?
Well, I was when there was a dress code initially. I was not obligated to meet it because this was thought to be my character. Then in 2007, I had to adapt, and now I just show up and just assume that if they don't say anything, they're okay with it.
So we've seen a lot of names like Bruce Pritchard and Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff make their names even like explode more via podcasts. I'm sure people have reached out to you about that.
Oh yeah, I've definitely had my opportunities, but I've only listened to a couple of podcasts in my life.
Really?
Yeah, and so I don't want to be a part of something that I'm not emotionally invested in.
Mm-hmm.
I think people can tell when it's a money grab. I'm not saying I have not been part of an occasional money grab, but to be out there week in and week out, I think if you're not fully invested, people will know. And I really enjoy taking on new challenges, but I like to give it my best. And if I'm not prepared to give it my best, I shouldn't be doing it at all.
Plus, your written word is pretty good.
Written word is pretty good, yeah.
Pretty good.
I think what they should do is have a Foley podcast that subsists specifically from the podcast I've been a guest on.
Oh, hey.
And there's your podcast, right?
Mick, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. We're out. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com, here with a guy who used to do some stuff for Fightful, Shane Helms. I put you over on our pods all the time. I say he can do a little bit of everything. He knows MMA. He works a lot of styles, done singles, tag, trios. You got a gig where you're kind of helping people out that might need some of that guidance. How's that been so far?
I mean, so far it's been good. It's something I've kind of been transitioning to for a little while anyway. Actually, back in my first run in WWE, if I wasn't doing anything on the show that night, I'd always find a way to try to, do something on the show, help out. They even let me produce a couple of vignettes backstage and like a dark match here and there. So I kind of dabbled my toes in the water for a while. And then in TNA, as you well know, I did it for a little while and had a lot of fun and what I feel was success. But so far in WWE, it's been a blast.
Seems like you got your feet wet with managing in TNA too. Did that lend you any type of insight that maybe you didn't have before? Because, I mean, the majority of your career had been as an in-ring performer.
Yeah, definitely, but I was also able to apply something that I felt would work, and it did, because that X Division style is hard to hate any of those guys. And so I said, let me be a manager, let them hate me, and at least there'll be one element of this match that people hate. The more emotion you add to a match, I think the better. Unfortunately, creative in TNA wasn't capturing what I was doing. They're like, yeah, but we're trying to make this about so-and-so. And like, I get that. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm having to explain psychology to people that don't know it, which sometimes is very difficult. But it worked, and I knew it worked. And I think now, going forward, I still think there's even more of a place for managers in the business now than in the last couple of decades.
Yeah, we've seen Stokely Hathaway get signed. We've seen Robbie E., who I'm told is more in a managerial role in that regard. We've seen Rockstar Spud, now Drake Maverick, step into that role. What do you think has caused that shift? Do you think it was you?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying I was doing it, and then next thing you know, there's more managers popping up. That could be coincidence, but like I said, it just takes a while for people to realize some things you can't see the forest for the trees. Like I said, there's certain styles that you're not going to boo those guys. The X Division style, that cruiserweight style, that hybrid style that everybody does. If you're so impressive in the ring, I'm not going to boo you no matter what. But if you bring a manager or a valet or somebody that can generate some kind of hatred, that's an added element to the dynamic. So I think it was something, like I said, I wanted to try in TNA. I made it work, and I knew it would work. And now I think we're going to see a little bit more of it progress. Hopefully we'll see more and more of it progress.
You'd also done some promoting. I mean, when I say that you were involved in almost every aspect of pro wrestling, did you do any refereeing when you were younger?
Yeah, I was a referee at 15. I actually skipped my senior prom to referee a match with the Rock and Roll Express.
Ricky Morton was your prom date.
Well, tell them who.
So you've got all that input, and I don't think it was a surprise WWE picked you up. I mean, it was one of those situations where they were moving towards a lot of different people who had been in different aspects of wrestling. How did promoting help you in that regard, or has it? Because, I mean, when you're doing that, you're dealing with an awful lot of people at one time, making sure they show up, making sure they listen, making sure they time things right.
Well, I mean, I still speak the language of the boys. It's going to be hard for me ever to not be one of the boys. You know what I mean? So I know what they're going through. When things aren't going your way, it's easy to be in that bubble when it's all about me. It's all about me. And when you're a performer, sometimes you have to be like that. But sometimes you got to take a step back and go, we're trying to tell a bigger story here. So as an agent, sometimes you're kind of doing a lot of therapy. You're more Dr. Phil than anything else sometimes. But like I said, I've been that performer that sometimes things weren't going my way. And I've been that performer sometimes where everything was going my way. Yeah. So, you got to navigate those waters. And for people that haven't been in those positions, sometimes for the first time, that can be tough.
At some point, I want to go in-depth with you on the vertebraker and all that for making a finisher, but you weren't allowed to do that once you got to WWE. But a few years ago, we see Seth Rollins busting it out, and I'm sure you got tagged hundreds of times in that. What were your thoughts when you saw that? Have you ever spoken to him about that?
I think we said something about it, but it was nothing bad. Like, I didn't invent the vertebraker, so I had no problems with anybody doing it. But when WWE, that was a time in the business where a lot of guys that got hurt with pile drivers, so they just eliminated all pile driver type maneuvers except for the tombstone. But all the other pile drivers got eliminated. And, I mean, basically my boss said don't do it. So I'm one of those weird people. I kind of do what my boss says. And at the same time, there was only about 3 people I could even pick up at that particular time. Everybody was gigantic back then, so it wasn't a big deal for me. I didn't mind doing the Eye of the Hurricane. I actually invented that move, so that was fine with me.
As we wrap up, you've got your podcast going again, a unique look at any different number of things. And I've always told people that when you're interested in something, the amount of insight that you can provide is almost unmatched. What is that like when you are able to do your show, balancing that with your road schedule now?
Well, I mean, because WWE has graciously let me, fulfill all my commitments that I had agreed to prior, the schedule for the last 3 or 4 months has been about to kill me. Yeah. So, being able to squeeze the podcast in as much as I can. Actually, the last 2 weeks, I got attacked. I hope you saw that.
LAX.
Those are 2 guys I really loved in TNA too, by the way. Impact, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Scott. What the hell was I talking about?
You were talking about your podcast.
Yeah, so for the last 2 weeks, I wasn't able to do it. We were in Europe, and then this week I was only home for a day and a half, and I couldn't. Well, actually I started talking about Ashley Massaro, and then I just got kind of bummed out, and I put it on pause, and then I just didn't have time to go back. So I'm going to redo it, and I'll get one out next week. But it's fun. You've done a million of them. Yeah. It's not as easy as just getting on the microphone jibber-jabbering.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes, if you know my podcast, most of the time I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I just hope something good comes up, and so far it has.
Shane, I want to thank you so much, man. Nice to finally meet you.
Make sure that he tells you about the pterodactyls, because I used to smash him in fantasy football all the time.
Didn't I beat you this year?
Who's the champs?
But I beat you.
What matters, Super Bowl or preseason?
I'm just going to take this. We're out. I remember you guys saying that you kind of changed the dress code a little bit.
Yeah. Legit. It's crazy, man. We just started wearing tracksuits, and we were all like, no, it's our uniform. Yeah. We put like a New Day patch on it, and then we traveled in comfort. So now it's like a thing. People are like, oh, I want to wear tracksuits too. And it's a legitimate thing. We just wanted to be comfortable. And now here we are breaking barriers in the world of clothes and textiles and things of that nature.
Has anybody hit you guys up about clothing sponsorships, anything of that nature?
Unfortunately, no. But we are looking. Anybody out there who wants to sponsor us for a tracksuit sponsorship, we are open for business. We're taking all offers. None have come in at all.
That's surprising.
But yeah. We're fun guys, man. We like to have fun, and you guys like fun. And your product, we'll push your product. We push our own product. Sponsor us, man.
You got this rivalry going with Randy Orton, a lot of it rooted in your feud from about 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
What was your professional relationship like with Randy Orton in that time?
Just a coworker, you know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't really have a relationship per se. He's not one of the guys who I would, chum it up with backstage or anything like that. It was kind of like, okay, we have a match, and then we're just going off to our own things, So, but like on a very legitimate level, like those who have been watching the videos that have been airing about the history of our I guess relationship, it's very legitimate in the fact that he did not want me to be here, to the point where he would tell people and the people who made decisions that I shouldn't be in the position that I was at. So that's what you saw. Like, a lot of people asked me over the years, like, hey, what happened in 2009? Like, you put Randy Orton through the table at Madison Square Garden. I thought that you were going to be going up here, and that's where I was supposed to go. You come to find out that because of him, like, it didn't go that way. Not right away. It took a little while, little ups and downs, but now here we are 11 years later, through a stroke of luck, a touch of fate, hard work, and some opportunity taken advantage of, and here we are.
I remember the paint on the race car. How close were you to falling?
My God. So I talk about that moment all the time because, so that was a career-defining moment for me. Like, everyone saw, oh, my God, Kofi Kingston's not just happy-go-lucky Jamaican guy that can go out there. Oh, he's doing some damage to this car. I feel like if I would have fallen, it would have been almost like a Shockmaster-esque moment, right? Like, so I remember, it was all slow motion for me. Like, I took the paint bucket and I slammed it down, and I go. So what happened first was that they told me that the NASCAR was, indestructible. So they gave me a crowbar, and I go, and, with the first hit, it broke the window. I was like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, but it's live TV. So I keep on breaking it. Like, I go to step in it, now I'm on the dashboard, and, I go to slam it, and all of a sudden I feel myself falling. It's like the Matrix. I'm like, no, my career, no. And then just stuck the pose. I'm like, okay, I got it. And it was really, really close. But, long-winded way to say that it could have gone this way really quick, but it ended up going this way because of that.
We hear about how many takes you got to go through and a lot of that stuff. You can't do that. They're not going to buy you multiple cars.
Exactly. Not multiple cars, not multiple buckets of paint. It was a one-time deal. And then with the NASCAR too, there's no rear view mirrors. I had to figure out ways to destroy it. So you saw me throw a crate into it. I used the crowbar to kind of scrape off the paint job and everything like that. But luckily it went well. It went the way that it was supposed to go, and now here we are 10 years later, me and Randy Orton going out there and doing it. This was the city that he had his first world title in. This was also the same pay-per-view that he won his first world championship in. So I'm sure the emotions on his side are at a high level. On my side, for the reasons I told you before. So it's going to be a very intense and emotional match, and I think a lot of people are going to be kind of thrilled. We're going to see a good match. So that's what the benefit of having two guys who are so emotionally invested in this match. Everyone who gets to watch gets to see an amazing match put forth. So.
You had mentioned in an interview prior that ahead of New Day you were thinking about maybe hanging it up, and you've been a part of a lot of successful tag teams, many. What stood out to you about this tag team and made you say, you know what, I am going to give it a go?
So it was two things. Number one, I was at a point in my career where I was going to be the guy who was going to come in, have a good match, do some cool moves, and lose the match. And it just kind of got monotonous. And then when Woods and E actually approached me about forming a group of guys who were going to get to be bad guys, that was something that I always wanted to do. I hadn't been a bad guy at that point in my career at all. It was a no-brainer. So to be able to do that, to do something different, and then also from my end, have been on the roster for such a long time, to be able to give whatever knowledge or influence or the quote-unquote rub to younger guys was really important to me too. So I'm like, I can kill two birds with one stone here and help uplift these guys to get them to a level where they can enjoy the success and the fruits of this arduous career. I was all about it. So it was a no-brainer for me, and it came at like you said, the right time, because I was at a point where I was like, do I want to do this? Or I'm not really having that much fun anymore. And it was at the perfect time.
As we wrap up your reinvigorated run to the top of the card, that happened like that. Ali got hurt. You had this great gauntlet run. What went through your mind as you're kind of hearing, hey, all this stuff is going on. Hey, you're winning. Hey, WrestleMania time. How quickly did that all come together for you? And did you know that night, I think I can main event WrestleMania this year.
So I'm always a one day at a time type person. I take things one day at a time, especially in this industry when you don't know what's going to happen like down the road. Even like the next day, we'll get to a show sometimes, and oftentimes we'll be doing one thing, and then at the end of the night, you're doing something that's the complete opposite. So I knew that for me to like emotionally like be like, oh my God, I'm going to WrestleMania, like that night would be just silly. Even I didn't allow myself to like to feel that emotion or really like get excited until I was about to go through the curtain, to where like they started playing the package of like, oh, this is the big journey, and like they're playing all the moments at the moment in Houston at the Elimination Chamber. I couldn't even watch it because I started to get emotional. I'm like, oh my God, I had to turn away and focus on the match. But it was only until like I actually like I won that I was like, oh my God, like it happened. Then I allowed myself to kind of like get a little bit emotional and be excited with my family in there and everything. It was awesome.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Denise Salcedo with Fightful.com. And right now I am at Access Studios with Scott D'Amore. Scott, first of all, congratulations on the move for Impact Wrestling to Access TV and Anthem Sports with their major purchase that they just announced. Huge news in the wrestling industry. But I want to know, for you as Impact Vice President, what did that mean to you, the talent, and everybody?
Well, I mean, first of all, thank you, and it is a very exciting time for all of Anthem Sports. For Impact Wrestling specifically, the acquisition of Access and this announcement that Impact's moving over there is all of us here feel so strongly that we've been putting out one of the best wrestling products out there in the world on a consistent basis, week in and week out. And now with a platform like Access TV to distribute it on, then we now feel we can reach a larger audience with that amazing product.
Exactly. And how important is that for the brand itself, given that Impact has had many homes?
Yeah, I mean, Impact Wrestling over the course of the last handful of years has bounced around quite a bit. So having a steady home where, we now know where our home is, today, tomorrow, and for the foreseeable long-term future. And that type of stability is something that's rarely seen in professional wrestling. The last time that a wrestling organization and a major broadcast network were owned by the same entity was the WCW Turner days. And that was certainly part of a golden age of wrestling. So we're very excited for that. And we just think it adds the broadcast component to what is already, in these last few years, we've built such an unbelievably robust digital presence, the number 2 wrestling platform in the world, far outreaching anybody behind us, New Japan, Ring of Honor, and all the other great options out there. We're just a huge digital platform, and now having this as our domestic broadcast platform, it just allows us to reach out more tentacles to reach and touch fans.
I'm so glad that you mentioned the digital aspect of it, because it's so important, especially this day and age. And I'm constantly on the Impact Wrestling YouTube channel, and I'm seeing all this stuff that's being put out there. And even just like going through the comments, like you see the passion and the dedication from the Impact Wrestling fans. So now, obviously, you have worked both in front and behind the camera. When you came in, you had the daunting task of sort of, renovating this new Impact Wrestling, sort of, trying to, change its reputation. What was the biggest challenge when it came to that?
I think the biggest challenge, beginning of 2018, when myself and Don Callis came in, along with Ed Nordholm, was really earning trust back. Over the course of many, many years, previous regimes here have lost the trust. They had lost the trust of wrestling fans. So going out there, because we knew we could go out there and put on a great show, and the initial reaction was going to be, okay, that's good, but they're gonna do something, like to upset us or to offend us next week. So to us, the key thing was slowly but surely delivering on a consistent basis. So that over the course of a long period of time, we knew it wasn't going to be a short period of time. It was going to take a long track record of showing that we deliver week after week, day after day, month after month. So I think the trust that we've seen and we've been able to earn back from wrestling fans is something that we take very seriously, and I think it's one of our great accomplishments. And as you know, we just announced, Bound for Glory officially sold out. That's something that never even could have been conceivable 2 years ago. So to have something like that now on the eve of this major premiere on Access is proof that what we're doing is working, and that fans are starting to say, you know what, I can invest with them. Because one of the biggest things is when you have a real fan and they're invested emotionally and financially in your product, they take ownership of it. And we now have fans, not just viewers, but fans that care passionately about what we're doing. And that's been one of the biggest challenges, and I think that's been one of our great successes.
That's incredible. And I'm so happy that you mentioned the sellout, for Bound for Glory. You just said right now how important that is, but knowing that you came in and you made this change, you were part of the change, what does that mean to you and your career? And, just sort of being able to say like, yeah, we sold out.
I just think it's a great statement, right? And I mean, it was, excuse me, it was such a daunting task. Impact Wrestling hadn't sold tickets to wrestling shows in so long. So last year, when it was like, you know what, we need to get out of Universal Studios. Universal Studios is a world-class facility. It's great to be there. It's been a great partnership over the years, but we were getting park goers that just wanted to get out of the heat or be part of it. We weren't getting wrestling fans. So saying that we're going to go back out there and we're going to go to arenas and venues around the country and really around the continent with Mexico and Canada as well, going out there and having fans buy a ticket. There's something, like I remember as a kid, like I would get my ticket, I'd have to go down to the box office, get it, and then I would look at it for weeks, waiting for it to come, right? And the experience is a little different now, but there's still something, when you've invested your money and you've paid to be part of something, and I mean, it builds an excitement, and there's an inherent value there. There's a connection now. They're invested in the product. They're not just tuning it in because there's nothing else to watch. They're invested in the product. And I think that selling out BFG and all the things we've had happen are just some of the great reasons why people need to watch what Impact Wrestling is doing as we head into 2020.
Do you still have those ticket stubs?
I do have some, and I have a lock of Adrian Adonis's hair from WrestleMania 3 too. I do. I should put that on eBay.
Exactly, right? Oh my God, that is so cool. No, it's funny because I save all my tickets as well. And one of my all-time favorite wrestling events that I attended was Bound for Glory when it was here in Irvine a few years ago, actually. So it's interesting that you create that it really is true that you create that relationship with the fan. So now, okay, let's jump into the fact that speaking of Impact, one of the things that they have been doing is that they've been building a lot of really great stars. We've been seeing a lot of talent. We've been seeing really great storylines, a lot of uniqueness to the product. But now with this move to Access, is there going to be any new additions? Are we going to be seeing any new stars? Anything new? Anything different?
Well, I think the important thing to remember is that in wrestling, it has to always be evolving, because complacency is the enemy of success. And we've done a great job of coming in here. Look, there was some great talent here, but it needed to be freshened up. We needed to freshen up feel, look, and we really came in, myself and Don, with an idea that we wanted to foster and build a roster from the ground up. And we think we have a great roster right now, sprinkling in a few veterans with a lot of real young, talented stars. And that's what Impact Wrestling, when it's done things right over the years, has done extremely well. Whether it's the AJ Styles or Bobby Roodes, it's taking talents that other people overlooked and then nurturing them and fostering them to greatness. And you look at the things we've done with so many of the characters now. Like a perfect example is Ace Austin. Here is a guy who not even a year ago was a guy, he's a good X Division style, cruiserweight style wrestler, but there really was no dimensions to him. We've been adding layers and dimensions to him and trying to make it so he's not just a great wrestler, he's a great character, which again will lead to increased emotional attachment to the character and to the performer.
Well said. That's perfectly well said. I'm glad that you also mentioned AJ Styles, because obviously for a long time, he was the face of the company. So now, okay, speaking of that, there is so much competition right now in the world of wrestling. How does Impact sort of fall in line with that?
I mean, I think Impact Wrestling, what we've really done with it is we have set it on its own course. We don't ignore what else is going on in the wrestling world, and it certainly is a great time for professional wrestling overall. But I think that people can get caught up worrying too much about other people. And what we've done is really try to focus on making sure that our own house is in order. And we've gone out there, we've seen a consistent increase in attendance. We've seen the development of lots of new stars. And now with the premiere on Access Television coming up, we're going to get to present those stars on a bigger platform and continue that growth. So I think that really the key to us is taking advantage of a time when fans are super excited about professional wrestling in general, and then getting out there and showing them why that one of the companies or the company that they need to invest in is Impact Wrestling.
Well said. Now, obviously, with the move to Access, you guys are now under the same umbrella as WOW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Will we be seeing any sort of crossovers?
Certainly something that could be looked at. We've been wide open. If you look at our track record since the beginning of 2018, we've always said stronger together. So multiple companies coming together for the common good, not just of the companies, but most importantly for the wrestling fans, is a situation where everybody wins.
Perfect. And my last question to you is, why should fans tune in every Tuesday starting October 29th on Access to watch Impact?
Every Tuesday night on Access, you get to see a dynamic product that features storytelling at a level that I think very few wrestling companies are able to do. And I think you see a young, hungry roster that is really fighting to show the whole world how unbelievably talented they are. And it reminds me very similar to of our launch years ago on Spike, where you get to be in on the ground floor of something that's truly going to be amazing.
Awesome. Well said. Thank you so much, Scott, for talking to me today. Guys, please do not forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts below. And don't forget to check out Impact on Access every Tuesday starting October 29th. Hey guys, what's up? It's Denise Salcedo with Fightful.com, and with me right now is the Machine and Impact World Champion, Brian Cage. Brian, wow, first of all, I love how you just look with the title right now, just coming in, very shiny.
Just got to wax and polish, for the interview, specifically just for you, so...
That's awesome. Okay, so, with Impact going into Access, you're champion right now. Obviously, after what happens on Bound for Glory, you might potentially go into Access TV with a debut as champion. So, what would that mean to you?
Well, first off, you said might, maybe. There's a lot of, indifference there. No, I think I am going to go into Access debut as world champion. Sami Callihan's going to come up short once again. But what that means is this is such a huge moment in wrestling, not just for Impact Wrestling, but wrestling in general. There's so much going on. I feel like there's a bigger fan base for wrestling, especially like the actual, true to form wrestling fan, not just the casual or general population fan. And right now, it's just booming. And for us at this moment to be able to switch to Access, it's like, timed out almost perfectly. And so to reign into that era as world champion, it's phenomenal.
Exactly. And, I'm glad that you mentioned that, there's this boom in wrestling and there's so much going on, because there is, and there's so much competition. So how do you think Impact Wrestling is sort of going to fall in line with that?
Well, I've been, obviously it's going to sound like I'm biased because I'm part of Impact Wrestling, but through and through, whether I'm on the product or not, I feel like it's been one of the most consistent products. Probably the best word to describe it is consistent, as far as the storyline and storytelling and the match performances. Is everything, hitting it out of the park? No, of course not. You're not going to like everything. There's going to be some flat tires here and there. But I feel like overall, it's been the most consistent product compared to any other company out there. And again, I just feel like not enough eyes were on it because they weren't able to have access to it. I keep saying that and keeps not meaning to have the pun intended. But now that's going to Access, there's going to be so many more people that will be able to see it and see the content and really appreciate how good Impact Wrestling has been, will be, and going forward.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Impact has had great storylines and has been building many stars, because I think that, we've been seeing that throughout. And so obviously just, a few minutes ago, Scott D'Amore just announced that Bound for Glory has officially sold out. So obviously that is a great testament to you as the champion and to the rest of the talent.
I was going to say that too, but you beat me to it. I know he was talking about, looked like it was probably going to sell it yesterday. And, it was during a media interview too, where we're all around table. And I wanted, to kind of toot my horn a little bit, but I was like, I'll just keep quiet until it does sell out. But now it's sold out. So, and you said it, so now I'm just quoting you. I'm not putting myself over. So that worked out. It worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah, but looking into that, you think to yourself, oh man, because maybe a couple of years ago, maybe that would have not been the case, but to sort of know that the work you guys are putting into the product is, it's panning out. People are resonating with that.
Oh, yeah. I think 2016 and 17 was some tough times for Impact Wrestling. I know it's been a little bit of a roller coaster up and down for them since their existence. But when I signed on to the company, we were talking about coming in at the end of 2017. I signed and started at the beginning of 2018. There wasn't a difference I don't know, should I, shouldn't I? Impact's it's going down, but to be able to get on the ship and be all right, you know what? It looks like they have a pretty good direction and idea of what's going on with Scott and Don taking charge. I was like, it wouldn't be a bad thing maybe to be on top of the ship, turning around and leading it to new ways. So the fact that I feel like 2018 really turned stuff around for Impact Wrestling, and then this year has been phenomenal, and it just goes to show you, because 2 years ago I don't think they would have sold that building out, but here we are, and it's done.
So what was your initial reaction to Anthem Sports buying Access?
There was some rumor mill for a little while, and like even being part, of the company, a lot of us didn't know what was true, what wasn't true, what was happening, what wasn't happening, when stuff was happening. So there's a lot of questions, doubts, uncertainties going into it, and I hope it was going to happen. And when a lot of people found out, it was almost like when we found out too. So we were all thrilled because again, we've been putting on such consistent product that I feel like I don't want to say it's a waste, but it's it sucks when people aren't getting to see it or getting eyes on it. When we're out there, we're delivering such a great product and people aren't getting appreciated. So and again, that also goes to like the talent that we have in the locker room, and all of us kind of, I've said this a few times too, I feel like a lot of us are working together to make Impact number one instead of trying to individually be number one, if that makes sense. Right. Like in other companies, a lot of people are like, hey, it's about me. I want to be the number one person, do whatever it takes. And I feel like all of us, in wrestling, you're always going to want to be the guy. You want to be the world champion. But I feel like as a team unit, majority of the locker room has all worked together to make sure Impact Wrestling is number one and the whole overall product is number one. So I feel like that's really paid dividends, and is you can see it by watching the product that's how we all react.
No, I totally agree. I've been watching Impact for years now. And so seeing so many stars come up, and, you do see the difference in terms of storylines and, really creativity that's being put in. And, this day and age, it's sort of hard to keep creative and keep on your toes.
For sure. Because a lot of stuff too is almost like, okay, let's just do this again, but how can we make it different? I recently got married with Melissa, and we did a wedding bit on Impact Wrestling as well, and those usually never turned out, to end very well, and this one didn't either. But the overall segment that we did was extremely different than any other wedding previously from any company. I feel like that really stood out, and we've got a lot of positive feedback and reviews on that. So that's, again, a way to take something and to do it differently and have it be received positively. Going back to the locker room as well, something I didn't touch on that I want to as well. I feel like another reason why we all get along and perform so well as well is because we're all out there unhandcuffed and able to showcase what we can do pretty freely. So it's not like no one's being like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't outshine this guy, you can't whether anyone's winning, losing, or however it may be, everyone's out there still being able to showcase what they can do. So in that essence, everyone's still improving their stardom and their namesake value.
Exactly. So now, obviously, Bound for Glory, October 20th, now sold out. You're facing Sami Callihan. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but he cost you your first loss in Impact, correct?
Actually, yes. It was a year ago at Bound for Glory, too. So
how do you prepare for someone that has no remorse like Sami Callihan?
Well, he did beat me. Well, he got the first pinfall. I won't say he beat me because it was him and his two goons, and they actually ended up kicking me in the face 27 times altogether to be able to beat me. So he didn't do it on his own. And when he faced me on his own, he lost. And I don't see that changing whatsoever. I actually feel like the test I had at the last big pay-per-view against Michael Elgin was more of a threat than Sami Callihan is. As cliche and as overdone as it is to say, oh, it's become personal. The stuff that he's done with my newfound wife and how he's created such a personal rivalry between the two of us is definitely going to bring the heat, if you will, in the match. But I'm not worried about losing. I'm not worried about what I'm going to do to beat Sami Callihan. I'm just worried about more what I'm going to do to Sami Callihan.
All right, and my last question to you is, I think it was a couple weeks ago or something like that, you posted on your Twitter a picture of all the champions in every company. I saw that and I love that. I was like, that's bold. How do you think, if you were to go into as champion to Access TV for Impact, how do you think you're going to bring something different, or how do you think Impact's going to bring something different to the table, or something new that fans aren't seeing with this new premiere on Access?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, a little tidbit too. I just also realized since Anthem owns Impact Wrestling and majority shareholder and Access to, you can kind of get away with more stuff because you don't have to so much ask for permission or get clearance, because there's certain things we wanted to do in the past, when we were on Pop and we wanted this, or certain intergender things or what have you, that would get X-nayed or you couldn't, or so there's gonna be a little bit more freedom to deliver some more stuff. It's not all about extreme hardcore mature content, but the fact that we're able to do that, and that's what the big boom in the late 90s, early 2000s was the whole Attitude Era thing, and WWE has gone so far away from that. I feel like that kind of gets a little bit more edge to us that fans may be missing or looking forward to, and then on top of that, again, just the overall talent we have and the youth and ability in our locker room, and the fact that we're all working together and none of us are handcuffed, and to go out there and showcase, what we can do. And then, I mean, you have the Machine as a world champion. Let me just say this. On that picture I posted too, some championships have changed since then, but on that picture that I did post, out of all the guys listed there, the most common comment that was said was like, oh, well, if I told somebody that I was a professional wrestling world champion of all the guys listed, I wouldn't get double asked. They would, oh, really, you are? Where some of the other guys, maybe like, really? You were okay? All right. So
you're like, I look the part.
Yeah, so that helps. That goes a long way too. And then I look the part, and then I go out there and I deliver in the ring too. So I'm not just I'm not a bodybuilder trying to be a wrestler. I'm just a pro wrestler that happens to bodybuild. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brian, for talking to me here today, and congratulations on the big move. Guys, do not forget to like and comment on this video, subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to check out Impact on Access every Tuesday starting October 29th.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at managing editor, FightfulWrestling.com, here with Buddy Murphy. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm really interested in your transition from 205 Live to SmackDown. What's your weight right now?
215.
215?
215. So I'm up. I was a little from coming to 205 and then getting drafted to SmackDown. Obviously, there's been a period from that day to now. A little long period, but that was kind of a little strategic way that I wanted to go about things. I wanted to gain a little bit more size just before I mixed it up with guys on SmackDown Live. It's been a little bit longer than expected, but definitely wanted that break-in period to gain a little bit more size.
What was your original cut from NXT to the point to where you made it to 205 Live? What did you start out at and say, okay, I'm going to transform myself?
I came into NXT at about 235. I hovered around 230. And the initial kind of cut started at about 225. So 20 pounds to make the Cruiserweight division.
So, I mean, you took over 205 Live. That was such an instrumental part of your career. What do you attribute that move to 205 Live to? Did you push for that?
Yes. Yeah, I definitely pushed for that. I asked for it originally, and it was declined. And I kept pushing for it, declined. And then I just took it upon myself, man. I dropped the weight, so they didn't really have any excuse. And then there was an opportunity for the Cruiserweight Championship tournament, in which they said yes to, and I took it and ran, man. I took it and ran.
What was the reason that you were given for not being put on 205 Live?
Wasn't really given a reason, man. Just no. So I turned that into a yes.
Are you a betting man?
Depends.
What betting line would you set for Wesley Blake to be on 205 Live? Because I don't think that cut's going to be as easy for him.
Nah, he's a little bit bigger. He's a bigger dude. He's a little thicker dude. I remember when we originally came to NXT, I think our original name was Team Thick. I think that was our original name. But no, he's killing it in NXT. He's doing the Forgotten Son thing. Him and Steve Cutler are a great tag. Yeah, man. If he wants to try, it's not a great life. I can assure you of that.
Yeah, how has your life changed since that time where you kind of get a little bit more freedom?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I felt like in NXT I didn't get the opportunities that I wanted or deserved. I was in a tough spot, man. I was in a tough spot. I was in the top of the world with Wesley with the championships, and we, unfortunately lost those, and then I was lost in the dark. I lost in the abyss, and then the 205 thing happened, man, and I had a chip on my shoulder to prove, so the 205 opportunity came up, man. That chip on my shoulder, it drove me to do some wild things, and I'm very happy with what I brought forward to 205, and I think 205 is a great brand. I think it's probably the best wrestling hour that WWE has, and yeah, man, I wish all those guys could eventually come up to SmackDown and we can mix it up again.
As we wrap up, I'm real interested in your finishing move, Murphy's Law, but just an exhilarating move to watch. How do you develop that? How do you try it out the first time? Do you remember who you tried it out on the first time?
Yes, I do. The first time I ever hit it, I was against Johnny Gargano in Corpus Christi at an NXT Live event. And it was always one of those things I had in my back pocket. And I got a lot of stuff in my back pocket because I'm always told to hold on to it. Because if you do it and then you don't continue to do it, someone else will see it and they'll take it. So that was my mentality. So I've been sitting on that for literally probably 6 years. It was sitting in my back pocket, as well as the Hammerlock DDT.
Oh, yeah.
But guess who does that?
Yeah.
Andrade does that now. So, but I sat on it for too long, so it wasn't mine. So, that's the crappy part.
Yeah.
But
Murphy, I want to thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, man.
We're out. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com, here with Big E. Where's your last name?
It used to be Langston, and then they took it from me.
If Kevin Owens in New Day had a last name, would it be Big O Wangston?
I wanted to like you, man. I really did. Why would you do that? Next question.
You opened up your DMs for a brief period.
Horrible idea.
Horrible idea.
It was Woods' idea, and I regretted it immensely.
What was I don't want to say the weirdest thing, because, you probably didn't even look at all of them.
No, I didn't. It's just too much. It was too much. I had fun during my hiatus a little bit. Like, someone asked me for a picture of myself, and I sent them a picture of my nipple because it was funny to me at the time. But then the internet can swallow you whole if you allow it to. I like to dabble. Actually, I do more than dabble. I actually have a bit of a problem. I'm on my phone way too much. I visit your account often. Yes.
You don't follow.
I don't follow.
You don't follow me at all.
I don't follow. I don't know why. But I like what you have to offer for the most part. That big old Wangston question though is that brought you down.
What?
Right. Don't ask for a follow either. I like to creep. I like to slide in.
I don't ask.
Slide out. Just see what you have to offer.
I don't ask for follows. I'm not about that.
I respect that.
I
won't.
I got a couple other questions because I want to ask stuff that nobody else is asking. What happened to Xavier's glasses? Where are they?
His glasses? He had glasses?
Yeah, I think he had glasses when you all debuted. Got together.
Oh, he did have glasses, didn't he? He just was trying to look more erudite. You know what I mean? I think weren't they like the Malcolm X spec?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, it was just that boy could see well. That boy, in fact, he has LASIK. He had LASIK for years.
So Kofi had a fake accent, and Xavier was fake blind.
Right. And I'm the only genuine one. Yeah, that's me, real. Yeah.
Because of Xavier's connections to Pac-Man Jones,
Yes.
would you consider yourself maybe in the top 3 tag partners he's ever had?
I would like to think so, but he's also tagged with R-Truth. R-Truth is a living legend. A man who we like to joke, which might not be a joke, a man who might be immortal. Yeah. A man who is approaching 50, but has the youthfulness of a man who's in his 20s. So, yeah, Truth's up there. Kofi's up there. I might not make the top 3, honestly.
You're an MMA fan, UFC fan. I see it often. Who you got your eye on? Who do you like to watch?
I love Max. I also met Max, so I'm biased. I met him in a show in Hawaii. He's incredible. Who else do I like? I'm trying to think of anyone. Yeah, I don't know. I like everybody. I like all the boys and the women. I also really like Rose. I like Rose. I hope she rebounds quickly. She just seems like a very good-hearted human being. DC's a big wrestling fan. Also, I'm really excited for DC and Stipe. That should be incredible. There's a lot of good matchups to be made. And like 205, a lot of people complain that light heavyweight is a bunch of old guys. It's stale, but there's a lot of nice, good young blood. You got Rakic. You got.
Light heavyweight's good.
Yes,
it's underrated right now.
It is. There's a lot of good, new blood there. And Lionheart looked great in his last fight as well. I know he just had the title fight not that long ago, but I really like what 205 is doing. 170 is so stacked right now. 155, I can talk for days and days. There's a lot of great stuff to watch. Valentina, she's incredible. 125, she might be the champion at 125 for the next 5 years.
And she's as we're filming this, not to date it, but fighting tomorrow. Fighting Liz Carmouche tomorrow in the afternoon, yeah. But the thing I like about 205, you got a lot of guys that aren't cutting the weight anymore from 185 and making that jump. Do you miss Twitter because we miss you?
I do. I had more of a lust for Twitter when I had time. I was just sitting around the house. I was doing rehab, I was working out, but I had more time for my mind to wander. And that was mostly the problem, is my mind just wanders. I don't have the same desire I had to. I'm sorry. Nothing just really piques my interest these days. Twitter.
What's the most annoying thing about Twitter besides me?
I don't know. A lot of stuff in them. I just get a lot of mentions that are pointless. I don't know, man. It's a drain sometimes.
I'll hit you with one. Occasionally, like, people will crap on anything. They'll be like, how does Big E's finisher work? They're landing on top of him.
Yeah, and how does like shooting someone into the ropes and having them come back work? How does any of this work? Like, it's an RKO to the body, man. It's a body cutter. That's all it is. And people love the RKO. Do you like is our necks being broken during the RKO, or are guys being knocked out unconscious because like, what are we doing? It's just be entertained. If you don't like it, watch something else. It's fine.
Big E, I want to thank you so much. I appreciate it. I guess we're out, guys.
It's Denise Salcedo with Fightful.com. And right now I am with the Impact Knockouts champion, Taya Valkyrie. Taya, I'm always so amazed by you. So thank you so much for coming in and talking to me today. How are you?
I'm great. So glad to be sitting here. I haven't seen you in a while, so it's nice to see you again.
So much fun. You know, I gotta tell you, every single time I see you in that ring, I'm always like completely blown away. And I think I've even told you that a few times. But let's just go ahead and kick it off. I want to know your thoughts on Anthem Sports purchasing the majority stake of Access and now having Impact on Access. What are your thoughts?
I'm very, very excited that we've now made this move to Access TV and the relationship that Anthem is going to have moving forward with this company. And I'm just stoked. I don't have another word. I'm super excited because there's going to be all these cool new people being exposed to what we do on Impact. And I feel like Impact has been on such a roll lately. And just to have more people seeing what we're doing and the magic we've been doing and the matches we've been having and the storytelling backstage and everything, it's going to be a really amazing transition. And I'm excited to close out this year in a strong and fantastic way and then go into 2020 doing it the same.
I think it was very exciting when the news broke because it kind of came at a time where so much news was breaking about who was going where.
Yeah, a lot. There's a lot going on.
Exactly. So let's just go ahead and ask. I'm going to ask you that. You know, with so much going on in the world of wrestling, how do you think Impact is sort of going to fall into that line?
I mean, we've always been there. We've always been the little engine that could. And people kind of like forget about us sometimes, which I think is like, it's sad because we have been creating these amazing shows for years and years and years, from if you go back to TNA and now this new generation of Impact Wrestling with Anthem. We have our place. I just think that people just need to see it. You know what I mean? And we're proving over and over again with our pay-per-views and BFG, Bound for Glory, now being officially sold out, that the fans are noticing it. And we have our spot on Tuesday nights on Access. On October 29th is the first official day. I think we fit in and we're literally like, I compare us to, the misfit toys that like were rejected, or we all have a story. We all have layers. We're all like these different, from people backstage to all the performers in the ring. We all just want to do our best work. And I think it's very evident and organic and unique. And the passion that we have for Impact is so evident when you turn that TV on and see us. And that's where we fit in. We are the authentic cool kids, or not even the cool kids, I should say, like the misfits that, we're just taking our own strides, making our own path, and creating our legacy as Impact.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned all of those things because, a lot of people, in the wrestling world, in the forums, are like, we want an alternative. We want an alternative. And I'm literally always saying this. Impact has been doing what you guys say you want. And, I think it's a testament, the fact that, Bound for Glory sold out, and just the fact that all these stars that have been built in Impact and, seeing that, I feel that that's a testament to you guys and the work that you guys are doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and when people watch the show, it's so evident, and we have so many new stars along with having legends like RVD and Rhino and Tommy Dreamer. There's all these people that you might have never seen before, and I think that that's what's cool also about Impact is they take a chance on people, and they take a chance and really push to make new stars, and I think that that's exciting. You're going to see different people you've never seen before, and get a little Impact Wrestling education about what's going on.
Exactly. And now I gotta say, you and Tessa are at the top of your game. Like, I feel like you guys are doing a style of women's pro wrestling that isn't really seen here in the United States. So given that, I gotta say, what does it feel like for you to be the anchor of a women's division that is probably one of the top, if not the best women's division out there right now?
It feels amazing, and it's like an honor, honestly, because the knockouts since the beginning of TNA have always been given that opportunity to shine and that platform, and been given matches that are more than 2 minutes long and been shown respect. And I'm so honored to represent years of hard work, from Austin Kong to ODB to Gail Kim to the beautiful people, to everybody that came before me, that made this possible for us to be where we are right now. And it's really an honor to represent all those women and the women that we have right now. And also on Impact, you'll notice that every single woman has a story. Everyone is being used in a fun, creative way, from Tessa doing the intergender, from me being Knockouts champion, to the Undead Realm, to Sue and Havoc. There's just so many crazy stories, and we're being presented properly, and I love that. To the locker room leader Madison Rayne, to the Blue Flame, we're all different, and we all are getting a chance to shine, and I'm very proud to be representing the Knockouts.
And speaking of that, I'm glad that you mentioned, Tessa and the intergender matches that she had with Sami Callihan were some of the best stuff that I have seen. So given that you have done a lot of intergender wrestling matches, whether it's outside of Impact or wherever, what were your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. Anything that makes people uncomfortable and gets them talking is good, and Tessa and Sami, obviously I've wrestled both of them, have done a great job in creating a story that's believable and interesting. And I just hope that everybody can see that intergender wrestling is great when it's done properly, and it's a believable story, and this is professional wrestling. Just let yourself have fun, And I've been doing intergender matches for years and years. In Lucha Libre, as you know, my background, that intergender there is never seen as anything other than just wrestling. Right. No one ever made a big deal about it. And I remember when I first came to the States, and even on Lucha Underground, and everyone was just like, oh my God, intergender wrestling, and da-da-da. And I was like, what? Like, I've been doing this forever. Like, this is professional wrestling. It's meant to be entertaining and fun, and just allow yourself to experience it, and, not judge intergender wrestling for what you think it is, and just see it as two warriors putting on a show.
And your schedule has been absolutely insane between Impact and AAA. Just going back and forth. Like there was a few events where I was like, wait, Taya's gonna be here, and then she's gonna be there. Like two seconds later.
There's not a lot of sleeping going on.
Well, how do you manage that?
I don't like. A lot of coffee, a lot of a lot of just not sleeping. I think the most recent thing that was crazy was I did the 2 shows in Oklahoma for Impact, and then I went to New York and wrestled the Madison Square Garden show, and I literally had 2 hours of sleep, and I was super sick, but a job has to be done, and I knew that I owe it to my fans. I owe it. My mom was even there. Come on, I gotta she was in the front row. So I gotta keep going. You know what I mean? This is my job. This is my passion. This is what I came to do. And sometimes it's hard, and I'm frustrated, and I'm tired, and I haven't slept, and I'm sick, and airplanes and all the stuff. But it's worth it, because I'm living my best life, doing my dream in my way. And I'm so glad that Impact took a chance on me, and that more people are getting to see what La Huera Loca is all about.
Awesome. And my last question to you is, why do you think fans should tune in starting Tuesdays, October 29th on Access to watch Impact?
They should tune in because we are something special. We are something different. We have so much passion for what we do. It's so evident from the moment that first opening credit of the show starts, how different we are from every other platform in professional wrestling. And take a chance on us, and you won't regret it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taya. Guys, do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment in the section below, and then also do not miss Impact every Tuesday starting October 29 on Access TV.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross at Fightful.com here with Trish Stratus. Trish, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm really interested in the process of coming back, because this isn't the first time you've come back.
Right.
Evolution, you've had some one-offs here and there. How does the process of preparing yourself stack up to some of those other shows?
I'm actually very glad I had those. I don't know if I could pull this off if I didn't have those little, just for confidence almost, right? So Royal Rumble, of course, a few spots here and there. Same with a tag match. It's different than a singles match. I haven't been in singles competition for 8 years, 2 children later. So, but I'm trusting in the process, doing the work, and getting in the ring. I've lived in the ring for the last few weeks, and working with some really great people, and I'm proud of my body. My body's like, we got you, kid, you know. So, and I've just been studying her stuff, and you know, everything's kind of aligning nicely, I have to say.
You able to tell us who any of those people are that you've been working with?
Sure, Rob Fuego. Do you know that name?
I do know that name. I interviewed Sebastian Suave of Smash Wrestling, who he trained, actually.
There you go. Yes, he's been working with me, and he's great. So I may be pulling out some new tricks on Sunday, because why not?
So as you mentioned, singles action compared to tag team action, battle royal action, you've had all that. What all do you do in those other like appearances, like for Evolution, for the Royal Rumble? How do you prepare yourself, and how does that differ from this?
You know, I guess the approach is quite similar as far as like, you know, it's about, so I kind of just ramp up my yoga, and just, you know, I do like a simple 20-minute practice at home daily. That just keeps me, you know, limber and agile and things like that. But so stepping up that practice and focusing on, I know it sounds crazy, but like hip openers and things like that will help my body perform at what I need to do. And then it's been just, you know, honing my craft and getting in the ring, and just that's where the work has been happening in the ring.
How much preparation do you get? Like, how far ahead of time do they hit you up and say, hey, SummerSlam, Toronto, we'd love to have you there?
Well, when did you see Charlotte utter my name first? And the 1 week we decided to move forward. I was at the cottage that week, which we do here in Canada, as you know, right?
I've learned, yes.
Yes. And so, yes, I was doing beach squats with my kid and things like that. So I was doing what I could. But I mean, I've just been really pleased with the way my body's responded. And it's like, it's like for wrestlers, it's like wrestling is like riding a bike, I found. It's kind of cool.
There was a discussion online recently, I think it was Taz, he talked about people asking for permission to use finishers and stuff like that. You had a lot of signature moves. Do you have anybody like these days that hit you up and say, hey, I would like to do this, maybe it's a tribute to you?
Yeah, no, I've had that happen for sure. I know Melina, the first time she did the Matrix, she called me and asked, she cleared it. Is it cool if I use it? I said, absolutely. So that's cool. And then, you know, Liv does the Matrix as well. And Carmella, we've had a conversation about how she does the Stratosphere in the corner. So it's great. It's an honor that people are taking that, and that's what it's all about. Is the business is taking things and having things preserved, and it you know, just cements the legacy.
Is that the type of reaction you get when you're backstage? You see these people that maybe watched you, and I mean, it wasn't that long ago that they watched you, but they were still motivated and inspired by you.
Oh, it's you know, it takes you back. The first time it happened was Royal Rumble, because I kind of been away from the scene, and then Royal Rumble, literally every female was there, and just to hear like man, you meant so much to me, and like, you know, you kind of don't know, because I've been in like mom life or my business life and not really in the world, so I don't really know what people's backgrounds or how they are influenced and things like that. It's humbling, and it's also gratifying to know that the blood, sweat, and tears that we put in back then made an impact, made a difference, and it's like, okay, we did our work.
Were there any names at the Royal Rumble or Evolution that you were surprised to see there? Like, I'm very shocked that they came back.
Not really. Why were you? Was there any you were?
No, not really. Yeah. But you never know. I mean, wrestling is an ever-evolving landscape, and there's always the never say never aspect to it, as you know.
Yeah. No, I think the crew that we had there, I'd expect. I keep in touch with most of the people, so yeah, I didn't think it wasn't too much of a long shot for those people to come back.
Trish Stratus, thank you so much.